All right, so we will call to order right at 9 a.m. Good morning, Kisukukit. We acknowledge and respect the Indigenous peoples within whose traditional lands we're meeting today. I just want to say welcome everyone to our May board meeting. I'd like to acknowledge the public presence in the meeting, both in person and online. Before we get started, I just want to say a couple things. Democracy is a participation sport, so I commend members of the public for the engagement of the process. We do have some consequential matters that are before us today, and regardless of what brings you here, I want to give you our solemn pledge that we will do our best to consider all sides of these issues with an open mind. I can guarantee you that none of us take this work lightly, and given the information we've received and the discussions we'll have at this table, we will render decisions that are in the best interest of the region to the best of our ability. So with that said, just some housekeeping items. To the public, especially those of you who are new to these meetings, to those of you online, please refrain from using the chat because that is technically part of our meeting. It's only meant for directors and staff. In the room, thank you very much for keeping your voices down because our technology picks up side conversations very easily and it makes it very difficult for those online to follow the meeting. As for our policy, this meeting is being recorded, so it can be reviewed after the fact. We have a couple breaks during the day, a morning and an afternoon break. We'll break for lunch around noon. We will have public time as per usual before lunch. Given some of the topics that we have on the agenda, I imagine there will be several questions from the public. So out of respect for others and their time, I would implore you to be direct with your comments and quick to your question. Obviously, I am not Chair Watson. But I am fulfilling my duties as vice chair in her absence. And I have the lovely and talented Director Jackman here helping me out to run this meeting. He's going to do the speakers list today, as I normally do. For the directors, I did send an email out earlier this week about just some procedural changes that I'd like to make, just to make things a little more efficient. So chairs of committees and commissions, just please keep up on the agenda and move your motions. And if they're moved and seconded, we can get to discussion. For those items that have no chair, I'm going to ask senior staff, our CAO, to read the motion, unless the director would like to make a different motion. And I think that's it. So any questions from directors before we get started?
The fan here is quite loud, and I'm wondering if we shut it off. I know yesterday during the meeting, someone staff came in and did shut it off. Is that possible?
Let me check.
Yeah, Lily shut it off from that corner yesterday.
I'll reach out to Tom.
Okay. And Director Cunningham, you can move up closer if you like, because Director Popout's not here.
Thank you, but I really like sitting here.
Yeah, you're right. It's a good view. Okay. Okay. Any other questions from directors before we get started?
Chair,
Yes.
I just want to make sure that everybody in the county can hear you. So just a hearing test to make sure that they hear your voice projecting to the back of the room.
Thank you for checking. I will speak up for those. And if you can't hear me, please just raise your hand and I will use my drill voice. I was a drill sergeant when I was in Air Cadets. Okay, let's get to work. Let's start with motion to adopt the agenda. Moved, seconded, and that's with the removal of 4.1.5, inclusion of 4.1.9, and the addition of the addendum. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. I'm sorry, are you watching?
I am watching.
Okay, thank you.
This one, this is
Okay, thank you very much. And adoption of minutes with the addition of minor to Creston Valley Minor Hockey League. Motion moved, second. Any discussion?
Through the chair, from staff.
Yes, go ahead.
So through the chair, the wording should be Creston Valley Minor Hockey Association.
Okay, thank you for that. Noted. Friendly amendment, mover and seconder. So that's okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. CAO Horn has some introductions.
Through the chair, mainly within our emergency program, Fire Smart, and our fire services, we have Jesse Lay joining us as our new Fire Smart coordinator, and I'm looking at Director Hewitt with a sad face as she comes to us from the village of Caslo. She replaces Garrett Fishlock, who was in that role for quite some time. Mick Scoose joins us from the Regional District of Kootenay Boundary as our Caslo Fire Chief, replacing Eric Graham. And Nathan Pocock joins us as our Regional Training Officer, sort of completing the domino effect within our Regional Fire Service since our Regional Fire Chief left last year.
Stuart. All right, moving on to business arising out of the minutes. 3.1, Community Sustainable Living Advisory Committee. This is just for information, but I believe Director Vandenberg, you have a motion.
Yes, and I've sent it to Angela. Direction to staff to move Ghost Watershed Water Sustainability Plan to Crescent Valley Services Committee for further discussion around implementation.
Do I have a second? Okay, thank you. Discussion. Did you want to open on it, Director Vandenberg?
I know, but it's no, I don't need to. I think Paris was going to speak to it somewhat, so I would allow that to happen.
Hello, thank you.
Go ahead, Paris.
Thank you very much. Thank you through the chair. Yes, we support this move for discussion of the engagement strategy to Crescent Valley Services Committee. This was also discussed at CSLAC that all major decisions would come to the board, particularly related to engagement with Yakanuki and anything related to engagement with directors. But on the nuance of how we are rolling out the engagement strategy, it feels very appropriate for it to be at Crescent Valley Services Committee. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for that, Director New.
Sorry, who votes? Who gets to vote?
I'll vote. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. All right, committees and commissions with recommendations. We have 4.1.1. Director Gray.
Yes, that the board approves the payment of the following grants from the Rec 10 portion area as listed.
Okay, thank you. Second. Second, any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Go ahead.
And the second one is that the board approved the payment of a $1,000 grant to the Redfish Basketball Program on the condition that the funds be redirected from the Redfish Parent Advisory Committee to School District Number 8 from the Rec 10 portion of area B as listed.
Great, thank you. Second. Second, any discussion? No, just a second. Okay. No discussion. All those in favor? No opposed. Carried. Okay, 4.1.2, Director Jackman.
Sure. Move that the board approve the payment of the following grants from the Recreation Commission 9, Area A, service number S232 2025 budget as listed.
Do we have a second? Director Lockwood, any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Another one here? No, okay, 4.1.3, Castlegar and District Recreation Commission, Director Vogel? Director Hanegraaff, excuse me, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll move the motion. This is simply to award the replacement of the rooftop unit to Venture Mechanical Services, and then the recommendation lays out how that's to be paid.
Thank you very much. We have a second. Thank you. Any discussion? All right. Online? No? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. 4.1.4. Who would like to take this? Director Main, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. On behalf of the Slocum Lake Recreation Commission number 6, I move that the board approve the payment of the grants as listed from Recreation Commission number 6, New Denver, Silverton, and area service number S229 2025 budget.
Thank you very much. And a second.
Director Popoff will second.
Thank you, Director Popoff. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
And that the board send a letter to outgoing commission member Peter Yakachuk thanking him for his service with the Area H New Denver and Silverton Slocan Lake Recreation Commission, number 6.
Thank you.
Director Popoff will second.
Thank you, Director Popoff. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. 4.1.5, Slocan Valley South. Who is taking this? Oh, sorry. Yes, you're right. 4.1.6 then. Selma, that's Director Lockwood.
That the board directs staff to amend the scope and requisition of the Salmo Electoral Area G Rec 7 recreational program to rescind the Village of Salmo and Area G swimming pool financial aid local service area bylaw 1135/1995.
Thank you. Second. Thank you, Director Cunningham. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. 4.1.7, West Resource Recovery Committee. Director Popoff, would you like to make this motion?
Yes, I sure will. That the board directs staff to execute a site access agreement to allow municipalities access to RDCK transfer stations outside of facility operating hours for the disposal of mixed waste and other pre-approved types of waste.
Thank you, Director Popoff. A second. Thank you, Director Main. Any discussion? Nothing. All those in favor? Right, motion carries. Yeah. We're 4.1.8, Joint Resource Recovery Committee. Director, would you like to start?
And that would be me.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The first recommendation, West Subregion, that the board approve an amendment to the 2025 financial plan for refuse disposal, West Subregion Service 188, to increase accounts grants 57010 by $719,000 and $719,073 and increase account prior year surplus by the same amount.
Thank you, Director Popoff. You got all the numbers right. Do I have a second? Thank you, Director Main. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Go ahead with number 2, please.
Yes, Central Subregion, that the board approve the RDCK enter into a service agreement with Drillwell Enterprises for the HB tailings facility, piezometer drilling, and central landfill groundwater monitoring well installation program to a maximum value of $80,196 plus GST, and that the chair and corporate officer be authorized to sign the necessary documents, and further that the cost be paid from Service 187 Central Subregion Resource Recovery.
Thank you, Director Popoff. Second. Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Number 3, please, Director Popoff.
And that the board approve the RDCK extend the current compost facility operations and maintenance contract with GFL Environment Incorporated to a maximum value of $122,305, not including GST, for a period of 8 months ending May 31st, 2026. And that the chair and the corporate officer be authorized to sign the necessary documents, and further, that the cost be paid from A119 Organics Program East Subregion.
I'll second.
Thank you very much. We have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
And the next one, West Subregion, that the board directs staff to obtain legal advice on whether or not local government can refuse accepting animal carcasses due to Canada Food Inspection Agency order, call, or other dead stock arising from natural disasters such as flood or fire.
Thank you. We have a second. And I believe we have a comment from our CAO.
Yeah, through the chair. So in light of the fact that a legal opinion would take at minimum a couple of weeks, I did try to get in contact with legal counsel yesterday and had a brief conversation around not the broader legal opinion that you were looking for regarding the fire and flood, because we will get that detailed out and that'll come back to the board at a later date. But specifically with respect to a Health Canada order on this, or the Canada Food Inspection Agency. And the brief answer is, could the board refuse it? Yes. Would you ultimately lose in court and be ordered to take them? Yes. That's essentially the short order.
Okay, thank you, Stuart. And I appreciate the short notice getting the legal opinion. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I would like to say that there's a big difference between.
No, Nicole, I appreciate that you have an opinion, but we're in the middle of a board meeting. We will have public time at 11:45. Directors, any discussion? Those online? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
So the next,
go ahead, Director Papa.
the next recommendation is East Subregion, and this is a long one, so that the board approved the RDCK extending the current landfill operations and maintenance contract with GFL Environment Incorporated to a maximum value of $290,000 and $938. I'm struggling with the numbers here, and not including GST, for a period of 8 months ending May 31st, 2026, and that the chair and the corporate officer be authorized to sign the necessary documents. And further, that the board approve an amendment to the 2025 financial plan for East Waste Service 186 to increase the amount contracted services by $101,456 and decrease account 59500 contribution to reserve by the same amount. And further, that the board approve an amendment to the 2026 financial plan for East Waste Service 186 to increase account number contracted services by $104,100 and decrease in account
No, turn it up just
59500 contribution to reserve by the same amount. And further, that the cost be paid from Service 186 Refuse Disposal East Subregion.
Second, and I have a comment or maybe a minor amendment.
Okay, go ahead.
So if I might, I think in the latter part where it talks about approve an amendment to the 2026 financial plan, it's not actually 2026 financial plan yet. That should just simply read 2026 budget. Maybe the CEO.
Yeah, through the chair, or it could say the 2026 year of the 2025 to 2029 financial.
That would be more accurate. Yeah. Chair, it's a friendly amendment. And I should have got this yesterday. Sure. Okay. An idea.
That's okay. These agendas are 1,000 pages.
Yep.
Director Popov, are you okay with that friendly amendment?
Yes, I sure am.
And as the seconder, are you okay with that friendly amendment?
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. Any discussion on the amended motion? We'll just wait for staff to sort that out.
2026 year of the 2025 to 2029.
Right.
Really
We're good? Okay. No discussion? All those in favor? Carries. All right, that is the end of 4.1.8. Thank you, Director Popov. We are at 4.1.9, Emergency Program Executive Committee. Would you like? Sure. Yeah, thank you.
That the board directs staff to draft a policy that guides third-party resource access to areas under evacuation order within its jurisdiction and seek legal guidance to inform the policy. And further, that the policy be brought back to the board for adoption.
Second.
I'll
move it.
Move it? Okay, thank you. We have a
Sorry.
second. I didn't move.
Yeah.
Second, thank you very much. Any discussion? Director Page?
Sorry.
Okay. All those in favor? Motion carries.
This chat being shut down. It's being used extensively.
Yeah, Andrew,
Well, not Tuesday.
It's still being used. So people look for hints.
can you just remind the public, please, just online, I mean, just
So everyone that is online, please refrain from using the chat. The chat is used by the directors in the meeting only. If we continue to use the chat, we will have to turn it off.
Thanks. I could have said that out loud. I was gonna say to type that in the chat, but anyway. Okay, memberships and appointments for 4.2.
Yep, that the board appoint the following individuals.
Director Weatherford. Oh,
I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Sorry, is that not?
no, go ahead, please.
That the board appoint the individuals to the following, I need to actually make a correction, that Lorraine Smith, the name Lorraine Smith be removed, she has rescinded her membership. So that the board appoint the individuals to the following RDCK commissions: Folklore Water Services Committee Advisory Committee for a term to end December 31st, 2027. Chris Galea, Todd Smith, CJ McKinnon, Pat Kula.
Would you like to also move the area J part of that one?
It's a single motion.
Area J, yeah, or you can.
Okay, and further, the board sent a letter to outgoing member
Just-
how, is that improper?
So we have to do it all as one, it is one
Okay,
motion.
Go ahead.
Okay, that area J Advisory Planning and Heritage Commission, and further that the board send a letter to outgoing member Haley Whittleton, thanking them for their service with the Area J Advisory Planning and Heritage Commission.
Thank you. Second.
I'll second it.
Thank you very much, Director. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Hey, we are on correspondence. Would anybody like to pull the one item of correspondence? All right. Hearing nothing, we will move on to bylaws. We are at 6.1. So I am going to ask Director Newell to open on.
I have a conflict of interest.
Okay.
So Chair, I, Director Graham, wish to declare at this time that I'm not entitled to participate in the discussion or vote on the next item of business on the meeting agenda. That is item 6.1. By reason that I had a financial gain from the property in question, and I wish to leave the meeting, and at this time I request that the meeting's minutes record my leaving of the meeting for the reasons stated.
Okay, thank you, Director Graham. So recorded. I would ask Director Newell to. Sure. Ask the CEO to read the motion, please.
That the Regional District of Central Kootenay Electoral Area Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 3002 2025 being a bylaw to amend Electoral Area Official Community Plan Bylaw number 2214 2011 is hereby given third reading, and further that the consideration of the adoption be withheld for bylaw 3002 until the following items have been attained. Approval of Regional District Central Kootenay Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 3003 2025 by the Ministry of Transportation and should say Transit pursuant to section 52(3)(a) of the Transportation Act, and preparation of a section 219 covenant to the satisfaction of the Director of Development and Community Sustainability to ensure that the recommendations from the qualified professionals for groundwater protection and site development are implemented prior to the issuance of a building permit.
Thank you, Stuart. Angela, did you get that small correction?
Yes, instead of infrastructure.
Yes, thank you. Do we have a mover? Director Newell, seconder, thank you. So Director Newell, would you like to open?
Yes.
I would, and I just wanted to say, given the extensive engagement and process that we've had on this particular issue, I was going to give leave of the chair for some extra time for Director Newell to open on this.
Thank you. So I will be presenting from two perspectives to you, colleagues. Firstly, how the issues raised by the RDCK staff, agencies, referral agencies, and the community, how those have been addressed. And then secondly, I will look at how the project can benefit the region and the area. So I'll begin by stating that the proponent has engaged technical experts at each stage and for each RDCK planning requirement from the December 11th RAC motion. And these 5 items were archaeological assessment, on-site wastewater assessment, groundwater impact assessment, traffic study, and noise study, all done either by the agency, MOT, whatever it is, DT, and or qualified professional. And it's important to note that the rezoning lots, the 3 lots, are zoned residential and therefore under our current zoning would allow for 6 houses and obviously the septic systems and water usage that would go with those 6 houses, the allowed use. Basically, from my reading, there were 11 or 12 issues of concern, and because of my limited time, I'm going to focus on what I perceive to be the top issues, and I'll go in this order. Risk to Kokanee Creek. There is no risk to the creek, and the letters of support for the project have been received from Ann Pigeon, the longtime Kokanee Park operator, Juan Sedarius, longtime Kokanee Park Nature Center operator, Jenna Lazier, school program coordinator at the Nature Center, and Gary Munro, professional fish biologist and volunteer interpreter at the Kokanee Creek Information Center. In opposition to the official community plan, I think staff, and I guess I'm remiss by not acknowledging staff and Zach's amazing work through many public hearings and 1,000 pages of document. But staff have outlined, and if I had more time, I'd highlight a few of the alignments with the official community plan, but you were able to read it there. Air quality. I've divided air quality into 2 categories because they were raised on 2 separate issues, the biomass boiler and the glue. I'll address the biomass boiler. These heaters are used at Selkirk College in Nelson, as well as many other places, BGH, UBC, for example, all in residential areas. I contacted Selkirk. They were going to speak at one of the public hearings, but could not make it onto the agenda. There have been no concerns raised by the much more densely populated area of Rosemont regarding Selkirk's, it's a pink boiler, it'd be the same boiler. This has been through 2 heating seasons. Selkirk's boiler is comparable in size to the one planned for Spearhead. I'll also note that the city of Revelstoke uses these biomass boilers to heat many, maybe all of their civic buildings through the Revelstoke Community Energy Corporation. Air quality part 2, the glue. This glue is the least invasive glue. I went to the Henkel website and details in the research paper entitled Consideration of Diisocyanate Emissions when Processing 1- Component Polyurethane Adhesives for Engineered Wood Products, that it is low toxicity. And when Henkel was contacted, because of the concerns raised at the public hearing by the proponent, the Henkel rep Daniel Kearns said, "It sounds like your neighbor has mistaken some of the concerns about MDI. While it is a chemical substance that needs to be handled properly, it poses no risk to the local environment." Water and the aquifer, and obviously very important. The staff report is explanatory that, and of course, a qualified professional, I can't remember the name of the company, came, did sites, and as one of the recommendation, you'll see that test wells will remain in place as part of the covenant to ensure that this happens. But the water usage will, I think we said maybe 2 houses, and of course 6 houses would be used. So therefore the volume is anticipated to be far less on the aquifer, which is well charged. And of course the quality is protected. From the staff report, based on this additional feedback from IHA in regard to the professional reports supplied by the technical expert hired by Spearhead, staff are satisfied that the environmental risk to the groundwater supply is low. And if it moves forward, there'll be many other conditions implemented through the building permit application. I guess finally, in regard to this as part of the my presentation or my explanation, it's in regard to the neighborhood and the area. And upon reading in the staff report compiled by staff, by Zach, pages 85 to 171 in the staff report provide a diverse perspective, and many of those, and I plotted them on Crescent Road, Crescent View Road, Starlight Road, Robertson, Highway 3A, and while it's difficult, how many votes does a household get, it's difficult to actually ascertain. There is support. There is noticeable support for this project. In regard to the neighborhood, the closest neighbor right above has said yes. Starlight and Crescent Road are up above, adjacent to it, and 3 or 4 letters of support came from that area. But I'd like to describe across the highway, there's a 40-unit summer cottage thing. We've got support that the support was came from the management of that development, as well as a number of people spoke at the public hearing that spend their summers there. Then as you go along that road, Crescent Road, the first house, I used my scope, and from their back door to what I perceived to be the corner of the lot with the setbacks was 200 feet, maybe more than that. And as you move along the road, you get increasingly farther away from the project. And by the time you get to the 4th driveway, there's no view of it. So that's why from that perspective, thanks, Chair, I am speaking in favor of the recommendation.
Okay, thank you, Director Newell. Any discussion?
That was a very biased presentation.
Chair, please. No comments from the gallery during the meeting, please. Director Jackman, go ahead.
Thank you. So, appreciated being able to chair the most recent public hearing, because listening to people in person is always important in both views. I take to heart very seriously the whole question of growth and versus loss of industrial tax base, along with the jobs, the local circulation of the dollars within a community. Our area lost the Bluebell mine within a decade of the regional district coming into existence. Since then, we lost the Amasco Dolomite underground mine at Crawford Bay, and we lost the Amasco processing and packing plant at Sirdar, which also impacted Salmo and Area G, because their product, the salt and pepper landscaping granite, was processed in Area A. So I've taken a very big picture view of this. I've tried to wrap my head around community. The community, as I read it in the OCP, is the community of Area F, and logically you could extend community as far as you wanted, but I have tried to think of Area F as a whole and not an individual neighborhood. We have the ability as a local government to kind of redefine and approach community differently. If we wanted, we could have a more tiered approach where we would identify what's called a local area plan under some regional growth strategies, and that would better define the community and whether that community wanted to have industrial, commercial, or simply residential configurations in their own backyards. But the way I see it right now, the OCP is defining community more differently. It is a more broad entity, and as a whole, I've read that community as being in support because of the reasons that that community may be trying to avoid in terms of what Area A has seen in terms of loss of industrial tax base over the decades. And I could tell you exactly how that's impacted the Reindale Community Center and the other things. They're not having that tax base, and the shift to residential has been brutal. The cost per thousand of some of these is brutal compared to the larger centers, which have a bigger tax base. So I will support these amendments.
Thank you, Director Jackman. We have Director Lockwood.
Thank you. I'm just going to speak on our pages are from 114 to 683 on this subject. So I think that we've had a lot of reading to do in many different things. And this board is tasked to do what's the best for our residents. And as the last speaker spoke of, is that Salmo and REG were impacted when we did lose a mine. And I think that the staff, the public, the business, and now it's our job to do what's best for the whole regional district. If somebody had a family member that worked at this place or that could possibly get a job at this place in the future, would they be for it then? Or would they be kicking themselves because they didn't support it now and wish that they would have down the road? We can't see what's going to happen in the future, but we can do our due diligence, and I do believe that staff and everybody that has been tasked, as I said, there's 600 and some pages here to read, and I'm going to, with all of the information that has been put in front of us, I do support going forward with this.
Thank you, Director Lockwood. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Can you read 61? Yeah, number 2, please. Thank you.
The second motion, that the Regional District of Central Kootenai Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 3003/2025, being a bylaw to amend the RDCK zoning bylaw number 1675/2004, is hereby given third reading. And further, that the consideration of adoption be withheld for bylaw number 3003 until the following items have been obtained. Approval of Regional District of Central Kootenai Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 3003/2025 by the Ministry of Transportation and Transit pursuant to section 52(3)(a) of the Transportation Act, and preparation of the section 219 covenant to the satisfaction of the Director of Development and Community Sustainability to ensure that the recommendations from the qualified professional for groundwater protection and site development are implemented prior to the issuance of the building permit.
Thanks, Stuart. Mover, do we have a seconder? Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Motion carries. Did anybody want to be recorded or opposed? Pretty sure I saw my hands go up. Okay, we're on 6.2. Yes.
We need to invite Director back.
Oh, yes, of course.
I'm only free.
Yes.
Welcome back, Director Graham. So we are on 6.2, bylaw 3027. Stuart?
Yep. So the first of two recommendations, that the Regional District of Central Kootenai Utilities Rates, Fees, and Charges Bylaw number 3027/2025 be read a first, second, and third time by content, and to repeal and replace RDCK Utilities Rates, Fees, and Charges Bylaw number 2951/2024.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a mover?
Chair.
Yes, Uli, go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to make the board aware. We had on Tuesday a public meeting in Lister discussing the relatively high rate increase that we had there without having public input or public information sessions about it. So we timed the public meeting to occur before this meeting. Had the discussion with the community. We did introduce with discussion of the area director a potential alternate budget that would reduce the increase. There seemed to be general support for that. Just wanted to raise that and inform you that we will be bringing in June a alternative rate rate bylaw as well as a financial plan amendment for the board for consideration.
Okay, thanks, Uli. So
You go ahead with this one.
Thank you. So through the chair, to staff, can you all
Director Grant.
please update us on the voucher?
Director Grant. We just need a mover and seconder first.
Oh, sorry. I'll move the amendment for 3 readings as presented.
Okay, thank you. And do we have a seconder? Thank you, Director Main. Please, no, that's okay. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So through the chair to staff, if you could just give us an update on the voucher, the changes on the voucher budget.
If I may. Yeah. So in Balfour, we had when we created our budget and rate bylaws initially, we had a reference to the wrong base rate that was corrected. Meanwhile, in your schedule, you have the correct rates to be approved. They are slightly lower than what we had presented, and we will be, as a result, having a financial plan amendment that resulting out of that somewhat reduced revenue stream, bring that forward in June.
Supplemental? We good? Okay, thanks, Uli. Any other discussion? Director Weatherhead.
Thank you. I would actually like to request that due to financial, due to the rate increases that we are actually seeing in Burton, and we are waiting for our CAC meeting there as well, that we be added to that. And I'd also just like to speak briefly to the report at whatever time that would be appropriate.
Are you proposing an amendment to the?
Yeah, I propose an amendment that we may need to look at an alternate rate for Burton, and possibly work with, I'm not sure if there's a way that, there's any way I can contribute. Also, thank you. Who's going to speak?
Okay.
Procedure first.
If you want to make an amendment, we would have to rescind third reading.
Okay.
Roll back to second reading.
Go back to second reading. Yeah, it was just written in Patrick and Bird together, so.
Through the chair, if the board's considering a bylaw, it has to have the bylaw in front of them with the changes made.
So you need to table this.
So we need to table this, or through the chair to Uli, could Burton be treated like Lister, where the board considers adoption here, they bring an amendment bylaw to.
If I may, through the chair,
Yes,
that's exactly what I would suggest, because it's critical for us that we start the billing for all the other water systems. We have 18 in total. If we don't approve this bylaw, we have to further park all billing for all systems, and it is critical for us to get going on that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Uli. So are you okay, Director Weatherhead?
Great.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? Nothing online. All right. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
I move adoption.
And we have a motion for adoption. Do we have a second? We do. All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, we're clipping right along here. We're at new business.
Don't say that. That's never.
It's not even 10 o'clock. Community services. We're not even at morning break. 7.1.1 Nelson and District Community Complex Rooftop Unit. Who would like to take that?
Got that.
Director Page? Go ahead.
That the board award rooftop unit replacement project to Venture Mechanical Systems Limited and the chair of the office is authorized to sign the necessary documents for maximum and there for you.
Okay, thank you. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we are on 7.2.1 Erickson Phase 2 Metering Capital Project. Is that Director Tierney or
Thank you, Chair. The board approved an amendment to the 2025 financial plan for your water utility area B, C Erickson. Service S250 to increase the grants revenue account by $3,502,332.22. Increase the capital expense account by the same and to increase transfers to other service accounts by $15,000 in order to proceed with a grant-funded universal metering program implementation.
Thank you, Director Tierney. Do we have seconds? Thank you.
Well,
Director.
second, just with a correction, the way, just it, not to the motion, but to the way it was read out, it's not for the same amount. The capital expense in that account was 3.4 million.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, just for people just
Would you like
listening.
to read it again, Chair?
No, that's fine. Mover and seconder are okay with the written motion, not the worded motion? Great. Thank you for that catch, Dr. Dewitt. Any discussion? Nothing online. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, fleet vehicle purchase for utility services. That is Sam. Thank you.
That the board approve an amendment to the 2025 financial plan for utility services, service A103, to increase account transfer from reserves by $53,000 and increase account capital expenditures by $53,000.
We have a mover. Thank you, Director Hewitt. Seconder, Director Cunningham. Thank you. Any discussion? Director Cunningham.
Yes, through the chair, is this a replacement vehicle or a new one?
Replacement. Director Sage.
I'm just curious about what has been looked at in terms of hybrids or low emission vehicles, just options on the light duty truck side.
Through the chair, I think that'd be a question for Uli.
Uli, can you answer that?
Yes, through the chair, it's a traditional engine. We looked into the availability and pricing for hybrids and electric vehicles when we did this, but we could not find something that was a match with what we needed in a price range that would have could be accommodated through the reserve contributions that we had to date.
Thanks, Uli. Supplemental clarification? No? Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Director Vandenberg.
So my question is around this vehicle has been identified to purchase and the money's coming from the reserves. Is this not this in the next vehicle? Is that not part of our, should have not been part of our capital asset in terms of the budget discussion? Is this additional to the budget discussions that we've just gone through?
So through the chair, it is part of the asset management plan. It was originally intended to be purchased in 2024, but missed in a rollover to 2025. So that's the only reason it's here. So we intended to purchase this last year. It was in the financial plan. And when the 2025 financial plan was prepared, this was missed. So it's not coming from taxation. It was originally planned to be purchased last year, and we simply missed putting it in there. But our capital purchases have to be in the financial plan, which is why this amendment is being purchased. So,
Supplemental?
go ahead.
So we just happen to miss two vehicles?
No, through the chair, the second one's on, the second one is for your purchase. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. 7.2.3.
Yep, that the board directs staff to proceed with the purchase of a 2025 model year 1-ton 4x4 truck through the BC Provincial Government Corporate Supply Arrangement to a maximum of $74,000 plus GST, and that the amount be paid from service A103 Utility Services. And further, that the board of the Regional District of Central Kootenay authorizes up to $69,000 to be borrowed under Section 403 of the Local Government Act from the Municipal Finance Authority Equipment Financing Program for the purposes of purchasing a 2025 model year 1-ton 4x4 truck, and that the loan be repaid within 3 years from service A103 Utility Services with no rates of renewal. And further, that the board approve an amendment to the 2025 financial plan for service A103 Utility Services to increase account capital expenditures by $10,000.
I will second it.
We need a mover.
Oh, sorry, I'll move it.
Thank you. Second, Director Boone. Any discussion or questions? Oh, yes, of course. Go ahead.
So, little bit new or unusual. This is tied to the provincial government corporate supply arrangement. Interesting. But what jumped out at me is we would repay this within 3 years, when normally we'd have the option of 5 years repayment. The vehicle certainly would have a 5 to 8 year lifespan. I would, maybe a little rough usage, but low mileage in its planned role. So why are we not paying this off over 5 years to staff, which would give us a bit of relief on the amount we have to tax each year to cover the loan? Is there a substantial difference in interest rates, or are we somehow tied to 3 years through the supplier range?
Uli, go ahead.
Muted, Uli.
We can't hear you, Uli.
I'm sorry. So the repayment over 3 years is in order to reduce our interest payments. We have to, at the same time, because this is a new vehicle, at the same time make contributions to reserve. So paying it off aggressively or more aggressively, the loan, and then starting our reserve contributions is actually in line with the most effective, cost-effective for the service, and still establishing the reserve in times for a repurchase in, I believe we identified this unit as a 10-year useful life. So in the first 3 years is pay off relatively aggressively of the loans. The following 7 years is contributions to reserve for the same unit.
Thank you. Supplemental.
So without belaboring and needing to get into the weeds much further, I'd hope somewhere there's a present value calculation that would show us that our 3 year borrowing versus our 5 year borrowing is actually more profitable, or bottom line is that it will cost us less to pay this in 3 years and then start contributing to reserve, or is it more of a gut feeling? And so hopefully there's a calculation somewhere that's being applied to each one of these, and I trust that would be the normal course of action. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. We are at 7.3.1 ready dispute resolution process. Can you read the motion?
It's through the chair. It's not. There's an option here, so it'd be inappropriate for me to read it.
Right, fair enough. Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at two different screens here.
There's chat is starting again. I don't see what is going on.
Not much. I just told him to stop. Okay. Director Papa, would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. A couple of comments here on the dispute resolution process. We've received 2 complaints about that. I provided the report on it as required by RDCK policy 100-02-09 dispute resolution process. And I had a recommendation in there. And in accordance with the recommendation in my report, I will move option 1, which reads that the board uphold the local selection committee recommendations that the application submitted by the Sandon Historical Society for the Sandon Museum upgrades project be considered for 2025 ready funding.
Okay, thank you, Director Papa. We have a second discussion. Director Main.
That was the second.
Oh, second. Okay. Do we have any discussion? That's for 7.3.2. Any discussion on 7.3.1?
That's fine.
Oh, Director Kaisley, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd just like to make comment on the process and stuff. It's set up by residents and everything else, and the decisions are not always liked, but the process is there and it's fair and equal to everyone. And that's all I really have to say about it.
Thank you for that, Director Kaisley. Any other comments? All right, listen, all vote, all in favor. Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay, 7.3.2.
Big list.
Yes. Who wants to make this motion? Director Weatherhead, go ahead.
7 point, oh, wait a minute, that is 7.3.2, is that correct?
Yeah, but yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
That all vote that the ready funding proposals listed in attachment A of the 2025 Ready Grant Board report dated May 1st, 2025 be approved, that the funds be dispersed from Service X 101 Columbia Basin Trust grants allocated to each area as listed.
Thank you. We have a second. Do we have any discussion? It's a big long list, yes. Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we are on 7.3.3, award insurance brokerage service. Stuart, please.
That the board directs staff to request a sole source proposal from the Municipal Insurance Association of British Columbia for a 3-year program of property, business interruption, and crime coverages, plus brokerage services for cyber insurance and equipment breakdown insurance. And further, that the corporate officer be authorized to enter into the necessary agreements, subject to the proposal price being within the amount included for these coverages within the 2025 to 2029 RDCK financial plan.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? I see one. I see a second. And we have David off on the speakers list. Go ahead, Director David.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, years ago, we did a lot of research in the RDCK on alternative home insurance providers. And we were looking to see if we can get the best rate. Now, I know as a past representative from the RDCK to the Municipal Insurance Association of British Columbia, that we get really good rates and service from MIABC. So my question, I guess, is to the CAO. Are there any conversations happening at the board level at MIABC on expanding our coverage? And I understand that we may require legislation to allow MIABC to do this to the home insurance sector.
Through the chair, no, it's not within the mandate of the MIA.
Okay, thank you.
Director Vandenberg.
Yes, as a clarity, so we're authorizing us to look into getting the insurances that we need to be able to run and protect our business. Is there anywhere in the budget that we have an amount set aside that we refer to that is not in the resolution, the motion, that, we can just sort of keep an eye on? Insurance is extremely costly. And this is sort of open-ended right now, and just want to have a place to build a reference that we've approved in our budget.
Go ahead, Mike.
So through the chair, it's allocated through the services based on the property. The cyber insurance, we could definitely come up with the number from last year, but I'm not sure what the increases from last year that were allotted to insurance was. I guess it'd be in the 3.3% over last year. And I don't know what the last year cost was, so that might be something we'd have to get back to you just to confirm. But we do have that ceiling that's in there.
So then do I understand that this would be a number of services that would be effective? Or is it just the 100, 101, everything?
No, through the chair, so the property insurance would be any insurance with our hard asset. So fire halls, rec centers, this building, water utility. So it's allocated out through based on the value of the asset and our statement of values with the MIA.
Right, and so if I asked Mr. Morrison to show me where in the budget I can track that, you will be able to do so?
Well, I believe we draw a number of different line items. We don't have a specific space, but there is a calculation that's done internally to show where that allocation lands for all services. But we
I hear that as a yes, thank you.
Director Main.
Thank you. Through the chair, having been involved with local government since 2009, periodically we have, both at the board and at the village, we have gone out to look at other insurance providers, and to the best of my recollection, nobody has ever beat MIA for cost, service, and robustness of the policies. So I am quite happy to be approving a 3-year program, sole sourced, And we can look at it again in 3 years and not have to waste our time doing it on an annual basis.
Thank you, Director May. Director Page.
Yeah, just being sensitive to the sole source nature, and that the CEO is the chair of the NIBC. Maybe my curiosity is how we are ensuring, or how the MIABC is ensuring cost competitiveness in the market. And I'll just add my supplemental now to see what the response is. But given the changing landscape around cybersecurity component and the additional exposure that local governments have in that arena and an ever-changing arena, how are we, without going to see what the other providers want to offer, giving a check to ourselves that we're getting the right kind of coverage and being induced to take the right kinds of actions to make sure that we're protecting the public's data and the organization itself? Have big ones.
So specifically through the chair to cyber insurance, MIA doesn't provide that coverage directly, it's brokered. So they go out to the market and get that competitive pricing for the coverage that local governments would need. So it's not something where they're acting any different than any other insurance broker would for us. Okay. Yeah. And then on the property side, there's various programs that MIA has. One of them, the property insurance is actually anything over $20 million. So for our rec centers, for example, we have to go and get facultative insurance for that through MIA. So again, it's brokered. It's an external provider that would provide quotes on that. So for definitely the larger assets, there's again a competitive market around that. And then within MIA, the quotes that we received when we renewed this 3 years ago or 2 years ago,
It was 3 years.
3 years ago, were much better, and then the program allowances were much better, particularly around the cap on any individual claim, which MIA doesn't have, but other insurers do.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks. Any other, nothing online? No other discussion in the room? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Right, we are on
7.3.4.
7.3.4 quarterly report. There's no motion, right?
Motion for discussions and motion.
Any Director Lockwood, please.
Thank you. I just want to go back to, because this has been on here for a long time, and I was just on the page. I apologize. Oh gosh. It's about the building update building bylaw. So it's been on there since 2018. It says that we're gonna complete it September 30th of this year. I just wanna, because this is with all the municipalities, the partnership with the municipalities, that the understanding is that we're updating what this office is doing with the municipalities, that the municipalities are still sitting independently, that they still have their own bylaws? Or is it that whatever this bylaw is, it overrides the municipality's bylaw, building bylaws? Anybody? Yeah? Exactly.
Sangeeta, do you want to take that?
Yes, through the chair. We will be looking at the building bylaw in collaboration with the municipalities. We have set up, recently we hired our new building and bylaw enforcement manager, and with Mike, with the corporate officer, we are going to be developing a work plan and then coming out to our municipalities to discuss our approach to any future amendments to the bylaw. And at that time, staff will provide more information back to the board, as well as through the staff at the villages back to their councils on what the changes may be coming forward.
Thank you.
The supplemental? No. Director Hewitt, and then Grant.
Thank you, through the chair. Further to the question that Director Lockwood had and the response given by Sangeeta, will these meetings with the municipalities occur well enough in advance of the next budget year for municipalities to incorporate any changes into their budgets? Because the completion deadline on our end is the end of September, we need to have those discussions happening as soon as possible after that.
Good question. Sangeeta, do you want to take that?
Yes, thanks, through the chair. I can't at this point determine how long that process will take. We want to give it as much opportunity to the municipalities to identify any issues that they may have, as well as do a legal review on any new building bylaw that we prepare. So I don't anticipate at this point that, I can't guarantee at this point that it'll be done by September, but we will make sure that it aligns with the budget year, any changes that come forward. And I don't anticipate it's going to increase any costs at this time beyond what is already within the building budget and future budgets.
Okay, thank you, Sangeeta. Director Hewitt, are you satisfied? Okay, thank you. Director Grant.
Thank you. So through the chair, we've been told we were going to be getting an updated case report in the work plan. I'm wondering what the status is of that.
Through the chair, as was reported previously when we did the survey of directors of what you wanted to see in the updated quarterly report, we had identified some opportunities to integrate the quarterly reporting tool within the new Office 365 environment that we have with Microsoft, and that is now being rolled out to staff. So we've done some evaluation of some of the tools that are available within that platform, and have determined that we've basically done a proof of concept of moving the reporting system into that environment. And that will open up a whole bunch of opportunities, both with the sort of initial rollout of the new quarterly reporting tool, but also in the future to integrate that information within business processes and apply different tools within the 365 environment. Things such as data visualization, process automation, things like that. So we have the next step is this will go into the senior management meeting shortly to make some decisions on structure of that report, and then from there we will provide we'll basically do a mock-up of what the report will look like, and consideration of that will be all of the information the directors provided as part of the survey that you did last year. So we'll bring forward a mock-up or a draft of what the report would look like and the kinds of information that we'll be providing, and report on essentially the timeline for rollout. Right now we're looking at the Q3 report this year being in the new format.
Thank you. So supplemental just a request. I like at the end how you got the projects completed in the quarter. This quarter was 6. With the amount of work in the plan right now, this would take over 5 years. If we completed 6 items per quarter, we'd be doing work ends for thunder. So I'm just wondering if there's a way that we could just have a summary. Here's all the totals and here's the ones that are done, so we can see sort of a little easier on the progress for the various departments. It's very difficult right now with this report, unless you have the old report, the new report, and you sit on the side and go through every line. So it's just, yeah.
There's certainly some feedback that we received through the director survey, and we'll be looking at different options, better capturing the current status of things and how they're moving or not moving through the various stages of the project that are identified.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Director Casely. Yes, Director Casely.
Yeah, back to the building bylaw. Is that Sangeeta? I just want clarification. That's for the municipalities that sign up to the regional district building bylaw. Is that correct, or am I misinformed?
No. Yes, through the mayor. Chair.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, through the chair. Yeah, it would be only to the service participants that we would be addressing any future changes.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, thank you, Director Casely. Director Vandenberg.
Yes, thank you through the chair. Now on page 11 of 40 in this report, and my question is around clarity. It's housing development costing and study that's been initiated. And that RDCK board hereby directs the staff to develop a cost assessment study outlining the requirements for land development, that sort of thing. and so on. Did I understand it correctly? Is that going to be a staff project, or is that going to be third partied out? I can't remember, but I thought we were talking in terms of third party versus staff time. Just for clarity, please.
Stand by. We have Jeopardy on the report formal meeting.
Can I make a comment on the report formal meeting?
Yes, you may.
I like the idea of reviewing this, and I sent some suggestions back to staff, this is in Gerald last time, about how we might kind of structure, but this is more for the executive. I think this, like a large financial report, is probably something we want to flag these items for staff in this section, in the preamble before this comes out, gives staff a good opportunity to say which ones do you expect to want to talk about. We're going to get the best response for all. Not to dissuade everybody. That was a good question.
Thanks, Richard.
And I appreciate that comment from the director, but we have over 1,000 pages delivered to us days in advance. It's really difficult to process this information and give fairness to staff to really respond to this. So unless you have some other way of us being able to review this information in advance to allow for that, this is the only forum that we can bring these sorts of things up. And it's just simply a clarity question.
Yeah, understood.
Through the chair.
Through the chair, of course. Right.
Did I not say that?
I think I was looking at you, but I was meant to be looking at Director Page. CEO, please go ahead.
Through the chair, to Director Vandenberg's question, that project is currently on staff's work plan. There's currently no budget or intention to outsource that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Director Hewitt for the second time. Thank you.
Thank you. Through the chair, it's on a separate topic. On page 9, the EDMA Indigenous engagement requirement. For the affected areas, it only indicates all electoral areas, but the majority of the funding is coming from the municipalities that are listed in this, in the description. So to my way of thinking, they should be listed. And just a point, and then the RFP is going to be issued. Our concern, I don't know whether anybody was aware, but Castle had only allocated a portion of their 40,000 originally, until such time as the government committed to providing additional engagement funds, because we were not sure that we were not going to not have funding to do our own Indigenous engagement, and that the municipalities listed would be fulsomely consulted because you're doing the engagement on our behalf. Just in the RFP to make it clear how the municipalities are going to be part of that engagement, that it's not just solely for the regional district, it stays within the regional district, and that we are not fully consulted and included in that consultation. I'd like to make sure that we're municipalities, there's a mechanism built into the RFP that has that happening. That's just a few concerns I have just with the way things are worded here, and just to make sure that we are part of it. Because we're each municipality is putting in $40,000, which is the bulk of the money, and to have it listed as all electoral areas when that's not where all the money's coming from. So all the benefits shouldn't be in the electoral areas.
So through the chair, that's a clear typo. It should include the municipalities. And I'm not sure if you've seen the MOU that went to your staff, but there's a protocol on the engagement communication with our staff, and all that would flow into the RFP in terms of expectations as well.
Okay. Yeah. I have not seen that. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, if I might just to add to that, I've seen in practice complete engagement, town of Creston elected staff, our rural elected reps, our staff, and Yakanuki elected and staff have been engaged continually through the emergency management quarterly meetings. So I think we're already in practice doing what this says. It's kind of ironic to me. It says we should do something to figure out how to do this. We're doing it, and we have been for a very long time. And I would hope whether it's sub-regional or whatever arrangements you have, I would hope everybody's doing this the same way.
Thanks, Director Jackman. Are we feeling good about this now? Staff has captured all of our direction. Any other discussion? Okay, there's no motion, so we will go to, checking online. Good. So 7.4.1 discretionary grants.
That's weird.
Yeah, we gotta read all of it. Thank you, sir.
Discretionary grants that are the funds available for the following Metro area member municipalities be approved as designated.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
For corrections.
Any corrections? Everything spelled right? Corrected? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. And community development with the note that we have added Samo Valley. Yeah, okay, please, patient.
Community development grants that are the funds available for the following electoral area member municipalities be approved as designated.
So moved.
Thank you. Seconds. Director Hennigar.
Under J, the Council of Our Seniors Association, I think that needs to be removed. They applied, I approved it. It was a rogue application and they've now decided to withdraw it. So I don't know if it comes out next time or if it comes out now, but the request has been rescinded.
Okay, what's a rogue application? What do you think, Ange? Go ahead.
So through the chair, Director Hennigar, that was the Council of Senior Citizens.
Yeah.
Okay, mover and seconder, okay with that amendment?
I'll explain rogue to you. Right.
Okay, we'll talk later. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Recreation Commission number 4 grant, Director Weatherhead.
All vote that the board approve the payment of the following grants: Recreation number 4, Customary Fee Service S228 2025, Royal Canadian Legion Branch 2800, and Rotary Club of Kentucky 2500.
Thank you. I will second that. Any discussion? It's an all vote. It's not just you and me. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we are on to chair and CAO reports. Do I start? I don't. I have no report other than I am happy to be here and happy that everybody's being so cooperative and polite and professional. So thank you for that. Sure.
So we should ask for questions, Chair.
Yes, are there any questions on my report?
Yes, Chair. Why didn't you ask for questions?
I will note it under professional development the next time.
Yeah.
Through the chair, just an update on the chair CAO forum for the RDs. It was in Victoria just before AKBLG. The approach that we're taking on that discussion has actually changed a bit over the past number of years. We used to just do a kind of a nuts and bolts venting session where we'd get the chairs and CAOs that come up and explain what the problems are, and then they wouldn't go anywhere. And in the last couple of years, we've actually parceled out where the CAOs meet together, the chairs meet together, and we try to come up with a couple of items that we're going to take to UBCM kind of as a group of RDs. And was really interesting in the CAO discussion to see where other regional districts are at with things that we've already tried to deal with and haven't got much traction with the province. And the big one was small water systems. A lot of other regional districts are now realizing that problem and something that we've been dealing with here for decades and haven't got any traction with the province in terms of supportive funding outside of the infrastructure planning grant. So that was one item. And then the other item that was discussed that was interesting because it was brought up at this table during budget was investigating how regional districts can somehow become tax collectors. And it is a discussion that some RDs are having with the province to see how we might be able to even pilot one of the RDs to see how it might work out, because the amount that we're being charged by the province to collect taxes on our behalf is becoming so substantial that it could fund a couple of staff and still save, millions of dollars for some RDs, depending on how much they're contributing to that collection. So that's something that we're monitoring as well.
Okay, thank you, Stuart. Director Davidoff, do you have a question?
Yes, thank you. Through the chair to the CAO, and I won't ask the chair for this because you weren't at this meeting. But under the section in the report titled Cybersecurity, there is a comment there about vulnerability with directors' use of non-RD owned devices that are mixed with personal use. And the recommendation that came out of the meeting, my understanding, according to this report, is that all communication tools used for RD business should be the property of the RD, including phones and computers. So to the CAO, is this where we're looking at going?
Through the chair, I think that would be a question I'd have to talk to our IT department about, just in terms of what kind of exposure we've got right now with respect to those devices. Obviously, everybody around the table here has, in one way or another, a regional district device. Obviously, phones are something that we do not currently have a plan for directors, so we understand that you do use your personal phones. But I think that over the last number of years, we've come a long way from originally, I know that when I arrived at the regional district, every director just used their personal Hotmail or Yahoo account for their RD business. So we've moved quite substantially along that line with respect to our IT security. But based on that discussion at that meeting, we could definitely take it to IT and see how we might be able to improve things.
Supplemental, Chair?
Yep, please go ahead.
Yeah, again, through the chair to the CAO, is the CAO aware of any RDs or local governments that are providing cell phones and computers to elected officials?
Through the chair, not enough to speak intelligently on it. I know that some have plans where they cover the cost of a device, but I still believe it's personally owned by the director. In terms of devices supplied by the RD, I'm not aware. I'd have to ask my colleagues.
Okay, Chair, can I do one more or no?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah. So through the chair to the CEO, do you need direction to investigate this, or is that something you're doing anyway?
No, through the chair, I'd say it's part of our constant process to improve our IT security.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Director Davidoff. And just to note, we've disabled the chat because there's been a lot of public commentary that's been coming through there, so we just turned it off because it is officially part of the meeting. So directors online, if you do want to speak, please just raise your hand. And if we don't see you, just unmute and yell out. Well, don't yell. Kindly say, speak up. Yes, that's the word. Director Cunningham.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Through to the chair and page 923 on our agenda, the section on code of conduct. Could we have a little bit of elucidation on that? Where it is and where it's going with the rest of the regional districts?
Through the chair, with respect to our code of conduct?
Well, I know about our code of conduct, but the whole section here on code of conduct, could you tell me what the discussions were and where we are?
Yeah, through the chair, that was a session that was run by Brian Carruthers. It ended up mainly being sort of a discussion on some of the difficulties that different RDs might be having. It's improved a lot, I would say. I think if we had that discussion 2 years ago, that the conversations at the mic would have been a lot different than they were this round. It was a little bit more around some struggles that RDs are having with staff director relations, in terms of directors understanding their role with respect to governance versus operations and things like that. From our point of view, I know that we had originally planned to bring our code of conduct back based on the UBCM guidance and guidance from the board in the spring. That's been delayed a bit, but we do expect it hopefully by the end of the summer or the latest in September.
Thank you. That is exactly what I wanted.
Thanks, Director Cunningham. And for those online who are not directors, can you please mute? Director Newell.
I think I just found in the chair's report the thing about disbanding water systems interesting, and perhaps you could bring something like that to the Water Services Committee just to get a little more information on what's going on around the province, rather than, unless Stuart had a quick comment on what disbanding means or whatever. But yeah. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Director Neal. Director Hewitt.
Thank you, through the chair. I know I'm talking a lot today. Regarding cybersecurity, I know through the village, we have signed on through MIADC for, I'm not sure what cyber stands for, but cybersecurity awareness training. And we get regular notifications about modules and training that we're supposed to do. And I've never seen anything like that through the regional district. Is that a consideration? And it's just done through MIADC. I've done many modules and I actually have an email that I've got to do refresher training. And whether that is something that we as a village has signed up for to monitor our cyber security awareness. But yeah, might be something to look into if, you know, to increase everyone's awareness. And I know that at the Columbia Basin Trust, we also had a staff member do a very in-depth training on cybersecurity, and it would outline those very things that were mentioned in the chair's report about vulnerabilities where we could inadvertently be allowing access to important information and what small things we could do to protect ourselves.
Yeah, through the chair, we could look into that training's been rolled out to staff a couple of years ago. We could have to look into elected officials participating in something like that. Yeah, I'll ask the IT group. Director Jeff.
Yeah, thank you. So a couple of years back, LGLA didn't touch on this topic, but that's awkward for a lot of us. Those meetings with everything else going on is very difficult. So I think it'd be good to have it for us. And what really came out to me as being very important is the nature of the data we're holding and when we should scrub data. And the question, of course, was, you know, for access to certain facilities during COVID, there was data collected that I then said we scrubbed it completely from our system because that's the biggest risk, that we hold data that we don't need. And recreation is probably the biggest vulnerability in terms of personal data because of people getting accesses, passes, stuff like that. But yeah, I think LGLA would be the best starting point. It was quite informative for me. And I'm sure if they did a dedicated session for us, it would be very useful.
Okay, thank you. Thanks everybody for the questions and discussion. And look at that, it's morning break time. So we will take a quick break. We'll be back and working at 10:45.
Well,
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
The foundation of all of it's the same. It's just
Directors online, we're still good for sound? Great, thank you. I'll stare awkwardly at Stuart. I'm just waiting for you. Okay, right on time. All right, we will resume the meeting at 10:45 and we will go straight into rural affairs. Director Jackman.
Okay, thank you. So yesterday morning, we, as always, were delegated the authority by the board to receive delegations pertaining to land use applications or actions impacting landowners. Out of that meeting, we had one delegation present that was for the 3 individual recommendations on development variance permits for Johnson. We had 7 recommendations in total arising from the meeting. So what I'd like to do is the first 3 recommendations as outlined in the agenda, I'd like to move as a block. It's items 71, items 1, 2, and 3, all arising from agenda item 7.1. So they're all to the board to approve the issuance of the development variance permit to Marcy and Daniel Johnson for the property located at 2505 Coat River South as described. And they are for 3 individual variance allowances as identified on the agenda. So moved.
Director Vandenberg seconds. Any discussion?
I should note, all vote in these are area C.
Any comments?
Oh, straightforward. APHC, local APHC approved as well, or recommended.
Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, 4th item on the agenda arising from yesterday, arising from item 7.2 is a non-farm use in agricultural land reserve from Marar Orchards Limited. This is in electoral area B. I move that the board support application A2505B for the purposes of a non-farm use in the agricultural land reserve ARR proposed by Marar Orchards Limited as on the property located at 3409 Highway 3 as identified, and that the board direct staff to advance the subject application to the Agricultural Land Commission for consideration.
Director Tierney, second. Any discussion?
Okay.
Director Gunn.
Yes, thank you. With regard to the application, will the application include such things as the ways in which it will attract more people to the property and coming will help the farm itself? Well, do we put that in the communication to them?
Thank you.
Sangeeta, would you like to speak to it?
Yes, through the chair. I couldn't hear the question very clearly. If it could be repeated.
Certainly, yes. In our letter to the other communication with the ministry, or the ALR, or ALC, excuse me, do we put in things such as this will actually aid the farmer in his business, in their business, because of the extra funds provided by the increased amenities?
If I may, through the chair.
Yes, please go ahead.
So through the chair, based on what is in the report, that is what's communicated to the ALC. So if what you see in our report would be communicated. If there was any additional information that we needed to consider, then we could have added that on. And yeah, so at this point, I'm not sure if that's even possible, if you want to add something to the response.
If we could add something to the in the response, it seems to be may have already been there. That's why I just went in our discussions. This certainly was that in fact the farm becomes more viable because of the increased income through other means. And I would certainly like something to that effect added if it was possible.
Through the chair, I do know there's statements in the report, trying to recall it without pulling it up, to the effect that this is no additional footprint. So the farm footprint issue which has become a negative, isn't an issue, and that they already accommodate visitors, they already have parking, they have exterior seating. I do think it's implicit in the report already that there's benefits but I don't know if the kind of wording you're using is in there. But I think the Agricultural Land Commission would have to understand the need for these value-added activities to make farming viable. I guess maybe it'd be a better comment to make sure that staff consider that specifically for all future reports.
Thank you. Yes, if that could be done, I'd appreciate it, because what you've just said, in fact, that the value-added activity makes the farm more viable is exactly the point we want to get to. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you,
Okay, Sangeeta, go ahead, please.
Yeah, just quickly through the chair, we do refer to our ag area plan, and there it speaks, we pull out the policy statements in the ag area plan to identify the viability of the farm practice, whatever that may be, that is being proposed under this application. So we do pull that information into the reports.
Thank you. Thank you, Sangeeta. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so moving the fifth recommendation, this is all vote. This is land use bylaw amendment, Mackey in electoral area F. I move the regional district of Central Kootenay zoning amendment bylaw 3028-2025, being a bylaw to amend the regional district Central Kootenay zoning bylaw 1675-2004, is hereby given first, second, and third reading by content, and consideration of adoption be withheld for the regional district Central Kootenay zoning amendment bylaw 3028-2025 until the following item has been obtained: approval from the Ministry of Transportation and Transit pursuant to section 52(3) of the Transportation Act, controlled access.
We have a second from Director Newell. Do we have any discussion? Here online. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Two more. So the sixth recommendation is forestry referral, BC timber sales impacting electoral areas G, J, and K. I move that the board direct staff to respond to BC timber sales regarding the BC Timber Sales Operating Plan 26, which includes timber harvesting and road construction plans in the Kootenay Lake Timber Sales area, as described in the numbered there forestry referral, and the report dated April 30th, and including comments from the Rural Affairs Committee from its meeting on May 14, 2025.
Thank you. And second one, Director Weatherhead. Any discussion? Director Cunningham.
Yeah, sorry to do the chair, but yeah, in the discussion, I think it's important. As we recall in our discussions, the mapping was somewhat confusing between them. And could we include a comment to them about the quality of their mapping and the way in which the blue arrows and the red arrows and all the rest of those things match? It made it quite difficult for us to understand, especially where they were clustered together. One would overlap with the other, and with the way it was printed. I think they could do a better job.
Go ahead, Director.
I agree, and I raised it in the meeting yesterday through the chair that it's a new method. There was references to style 4 and style 6, which I hadn't seen before, and I've looked at quite a few of these. So my thought was maybe we need BC Timber Sales to come to rural and give us an educational session, maybe an hour, and I would think we would want to invite our municipal colleagues to that, because I had difficulty trying to interpret. At first I thought style 6 was roads because they were linear and not blocks. And then later on I saw a different highlighted dashed orange line for roads. So I think our best approach is to simply invite them to come. And that recommendation was made yesterday. I don't know if Sangeeta has noted that, or Nelson White has noted that. It's a learning opportunity for us as a committee and our municipal colleagues.
I see nodding heads online. Yeah, okay. Director Weatherhead, did you have a?
Good, thank
You're
you.
good? Okay. Everybody's happy? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Last one.
Last one. I took a break before we discussed this one yesterday. So this is an all vote item rising from item 9.1 on yesterday's agenda. Community Works Fund application, architectural assessment impacting all of our electoral areas except A. And this is the community, I move that the Community Works Fund application submitted by the RDCK for the architectural assessment in the amount of $652,400 be approved, and that the funds be dispersed from the Community Works Fund's allocations from electoral areas A through J to the relevant RDCK fire service.
Director David Off, I just saw your hand. Is it to this motion or the previous one?
It's to this motion, Chair. After it's seconded, I have a question.
Okay, do we have a second? We have a second. Director David Off, please go ahead.
Yes, yeah, through the chair. I asked at the meeting yesterday if there were any grants that we could apply for to help offset the $652,000 cost. And there was a subsequent communication from the CAO saying that they're, they had, that the CAO had looked into this, and another director had sent out a kind of a link to an infrastructure grant. So basically, I think through the chair to the CAO, has staff looked at this now, and we're kind of stuck with this $652,000 bill with no additional grants. Is that correct?
Sure, yeah. Through the chair again, that's correct, but I will caveat that we still have to go to RFP on this. We received some specific direction around splitting the RFP yesterday in terms of the different quotes that we're going to get for different parts of this work, and that will come back to the board for consideration. So I wouldn't say that the board is committed to this dollar amount. I think that you'll have to see what comes back through the RFP process and determine how you want to proceed with the project. But in terms of other grants, yeah, with the grants that are available to our fire services at this time, we're taking advantage of everything we can, but building infrastructure is not part of any of those streams.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Stuart and Director Davidoff. Director Tierney.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yesterday, I expressed some concern at the size of the contingency fund for this project. And my question is one of just learning if the contingency fund amounts are not required, do those funds end up in the reserve funds for the fire services, or are they somehow returned to Community Works?
Through the chair, they'd be returned to Community Works. And that entire amount that Janine mentioned yesterday is not entirely contingency. It does include our project management fees as well.
Yes.
Yeah. But yes, anything not spent would be returned to the Community Works funds. It can't just be absorbed into the fire service.
Thank you.
Okay, good questions. Any other questions? Comments? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Director Jackman. That concludes rural affairs. We will go on to director's motions. So Director Graham, you are up.
Thank you. So to the chair, I wanted to leave a note for action to be taken on resolution 36322, and I'll explain if I can go to that one.
We see a second. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So it's not that this work should not be done. The work should be done, but this made sense in 2018 when it was started, but the Area E OCP in it says that it would be reviewed every 5 to 10 years. I was at those meetings in 2013 when we had them. That's what the community agreed on, which means our OCP is up for review. So this, I would not want to see happen outside of that OCP review. And I'm remiss that I missed another one on the work plan that should be part of this also. So what I'm really asking for here, maybe I should have amended the motion to just say it should be part of the overall OCP review, but I think the staff is aware of that direction. I don't want Area E to lose its place in the OCP review process. It's important. And I think that's when we need to talk about the expansion and potential zoning, find out what people want, but do it at one time, not do it on individuals and open the OCP and close and open and close. So this is why this is here and why I would ask the board to support that, just because I want it all as one OCP review.
Okay, thanks for that explanation, Director Grant. To staff, or do you?
Through the chair, that's very much noted. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, great. Any discussion or questions? Director Page.
Well, I don't want to pressure, but there's the other one here. Do we want to move? There's the other one. Carol referencing, like, can we not act? So,
Can I include that?
You certainly can,
Okay.
for clarity, you want to read it?
through the chair, of course.
Do you have it?
I got it here.
I have it on paper, but.
In 2020 through resolution 375/20, the board directed planning staff to expand the electoral area official community plan to include the south border of the city of Nelson to Lima Rose, and then staff would receive notice to the area director of the community. So that's the other one attached.
Thank you.
Interested in capture all that? Okay. Stand by. Okay, can one of you two directors please send that to, and for the directors room and online, we understand what we're deciding? That we're also including resolution 735/20? 375, pardon me. Is there any confusion about that?
No further action.
Yes, but no further action as for the motion for the previous resolution. Director Neal.
Just to clarify, what we're intending to do with this motion is to roll everything into an official community plan process and not take little pieces here and there to it comprehensively.
That's my
And this is the second piece. Through the chair to just clarify. Good. All right, thank you.
Welcome. And she wants to wait. No. Any other discussions? And you, Director Graham, you sent it, or somebody sent it? Okay, thank you. Double barrel. All right. Elaborating. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. And Director Weatherhead, you have a couple motions.
Chair, I'll vote that the board directs staff to prepare a service case analysis to determine the options for establishing a service in a defined portion of the area to provide financial service contribution to the Edgewood Community Club Society for the purposes of management of community-owned lands, providing recreation, social, and community services to the Edgewood community.
Fine. Okay, we have seconds. Would you like to speak to it?
I just would like to congratulate the Edgewood Community Club Society and the lovely donation of 3 acres of land by a resident. It's really something.
That's excellent. Any other discussion or questions? Director Graham.
Thank you, so through the chair. So I'm just getting back to the work plan thing that we keep talking about. Like, when we add an item like this into the list, like, I'm just curious on how the priorities are ascertained. Like, does this item then go to the top, middle, bottom, like?
Through the chair, it gets assigned to certain staff and it goes to the bottom of their list.
Thank you.
Unless otherwise noted by the board.
Okay.
For those of you who couldn't see it, Sarah was pointing down. All right, any other conversation, discussion, questions? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. And your second motion, Director Weatherhead?
Thank you. I'll vote that the board directs staff to prepare a service case analysis to determine the options for establishing a service in a defined portion of Area K to provide financial service contribution to the Burton Volunteer Fire Brigade Society for the purposes of providing fire suppression services to the Burton community.
I'll second that. Did you want to speak to it before the discussion?
Just to say that this volunteer fire brigade has actually been actioning fires since 2010 quite successfully, and it seems that the community is showing quite a lot of support. So this is a good token. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Director Cunningham.
Thank you, through the chair, to the director. Does this now mean that Area K will also have to pay the $35,000 after they're all inspected? I'm going to keep here.
Please go ahead.
This is just simply a financial granting aid service. Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? Online? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we are now on to our consent agenda. It's all been received. Does anybody have anything that they would like to pull and discuss? If it comes available?
I'll do that.
Okay.
Well, I will.
Go ahead, Camp. Director.
I should have, thank you, Chair. I should have done this in advance. This jumped out at me. Normally I try and do things like this in advance. There's a new name I didn't recognize, and I didn't have a chance to ask CEO or our financial manager, at source recycling, $415,000. Normally we see GFL with those large bills. Is at source a new entity or a new player in the recycling? I can't see how I would have missed a change like that. Or has there been a change or an acquisition of one company by another?
Through the chair, if we could look into that and maybe bring it back later in the meeting.
Sure, I should have given you advance warning because it seems unique.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks.
Any other points of discussion on any of the consent items? Consent items. You're making this too easy on me, guys. Okay.
The best is
I'm touch for me.
Well, I could ask one more if you want.
Please go ahead.
Okay, if CEO is going to talk to CFO on the pie charts, I think people like the pie charts. I know I like them. I like all kinds of pie. I like the charts because of their simplicity. One of the charts under grants shows 58% is RDCK grants, and it's not actually defined. So we have ready grants. Somehow there's a little bit of money, which would be our administrative extraction of part of our administrative fee early on. Then there's community development, discretionary. I can tell people exactly what all those are. But on that pie chart, 58%, more than half says RDCK grants. So that's internal transfers between departments, something from the province, the feds. It's not community works. It's not, community development. Just I thought, since we're getting so much more information, that would be a nice one to elaborate on instead of us having to try and come up with the answer during a budget discussion in front of 175 to 300 people down the road. Again, I'm good offline.
Through the chair, I'll have to talk to you about how that's classified. What qualifies as an RDCK grant?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that, Director Jackman. I don't see any other hands, no more comments. Okay, so we will move past, well, I'd like to propose something because by some miracle, we are through most of our business and or in our open meeting, and we're only at about 7 minutes past 11. We have a fair number of public in the room, and we have over, last time I checked, close to 200 people online. 206. Okay, over 200 people online. So my proposal is our procedure bylaw allows us to start at 11:30 to do public time, and we can go for half an hour, so from 11:30 to noon. I don't want to go into to close the meeting and then come back into an open meeting. So what I would propose, and we'll just do a straw poll here, is we have directors' reports on the agenda, which we have skipped since I don't remember when. I probably had a beard when we had our last report. So I would propose that we do at least a few directors' reports between now and 11:30 for any of you who would like to be the sacrificial lamb and talk about your communities for a couple minutes. And then at 11:30, we go to public time. Go ahead.
Chair, I was wondering if I could just answer Director Jackman's account.
Yes.
We're still open. At source through the chair is the compactor bins for the transfer station work in the Slocan Valley.
Perfect, that makes sense.
Okay, thank you for that. Is that fair to everyone? Do you have any comments?
Would that require us to reorder to pass a motion to reorder the agenda?
No, because it's in the consent agenda. 10.4 is information for reports. Okay. So we've got 22 minutes, so we can fit 11 reports in. Or like
I have 1 minute, less than 1 minute.
Okay. Well, let's just do it. Whoever wants to go. So, Director, you can start.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Director Graham for coordinating and allowing, or not, whatever the right word is. Area F now is a part of the Area E newsletter, and it's now the Area E and F newsletter. And I'm getting help with that, and it's a very interesting and lovely way to finally find a way to communicate with people, which I was finding difficult because I don't have an email list of everyone or whatever. So thank you to Director Graham for her assistance in that matter. And if you want to read our thing, we've got ways. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Director Newell. David, off we see, we've got you on the list. And Director Jackman, go ahead.
Sure, see if I can do 1 minute also. Really good conversations with two of Area A's largest accommodation providers. One of them is about 100 rooms between their larger sort of hotel structures, condos, cabins, whatever. Plus they have camping RV. And the other one's probably 30 odd rooms plus much more than that in terms of RV capacity. Both are ahead now with their bookings at this point in time. One of them by almost 1,000 rental days as to where they were last year at this time. So say across 100 units, they have 10 more bookings already, you know, under their wing now than they had this time last year per room. This will be a banner year for them. And the other one, similar. This has been the highest activity spring the other one has seen for a number of years. Coming from Alberta and coming from Washington, Idaho, and Montana. And they all have very good tourism and marketing connections with Northwest, US Northwest. A drop in traffic or business from the Okanagan, one indicated to me. I have to be concerned that may be related to uncertainty of the ferry and being able to access amenities on both sides, which Director Graham and I know people love to crisscross back and forth all the way up to Caslow, Airbnb, and of course into Nelson. So the news story that some of this local push marketing is helping, and we need it. So I'm very pleased to hear that from our larger tourism economies.
Okay, thank you, Director Jackman. That was 2 minutes. No, not one. Okay. Director Davidoff, you'd like to go ahead, please?
Thank you. 1 minute. First of all,
you can take two.
Really happy that we have a name now with our area IOCP completed after 9 years, and we're Sentinel Mountain, so that's good news. Ready grants, as we've done in each year, we've managed to allocate some funding to every applicant, so we're very proud of that. I attended the Glade Ferry Society fundraiser to basically make inland ferries, to help advocate for inland ferries to be recognized similar to coastal ferries in terms of being part of the highway network here. And we, after 10 years, we have our Cascarn District Physician Recruitment Committee. We've been meeting for 10 years, the first Thursday of every month at 7:30. We now have a new recruiter. And so that's good news for us. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Director Davidoff. Next, we have Director New.
Thank you, through the chair. I didn't do a whole lot of regional district work over the last 6 weeks because I was off doing something else, i.e. campaigning to hopefully become the next MP in get a load of this, the Vernon Lake Country Monashee riding, which I amended every time I mentioned it to be Vernon Lake Country Monashee, Arrow, and Slocan Lake Valleys. As we all know, I was not successful in that endeavor, but I sure learned a lot about how policies get stacked as we start from our own community and then come together in regional district, and then we have the province, and then we have the country. And the same issues keep arising in slightly different forms. And I had an opportunity to speak to some of those issues that we see as completely local and personal, and speak to them from a higher vision, like up a 30,000 foot vision. It was a very interesting experience. I would just have to say, what was I thinking? It was a tough go. And I offer thanks to my mayor, Tanya Gordon, who attended many meetings in my absence. And I think it was a really good opportunity for her to learn, that next altitude layer up and go, oh, so this is where Silicon fits in to a slightly bigger picture. So I think it was a learning curve for her as well. I'm back now. I'm really, really happy to be back with local government. My next report will include much more local endeavors than this one did.
Thank you, Director May. And congratulations on the effort.
Thank you.
And so Director Papa, we see you. Director Hewitt, we see your hand. Is that? Oh yeah, okay, perfect. Director Hanegraaff.
Yeah, so we did the READY grants too, which is one of my favorite things, just because I'm always so impressed by these nonprofit community groups and how much they do for our communities. And one of those was Robson Rec, which is very much a grassroots group who have developed or are in the process of developing a multi-use court in Robson. All of them by volunteers, funded by the community, and then they ran into the brick wall when it came time to get insurance. And so we were able, with the help of Joe and Trisha, Joe Chirico and Trish Davison in REC, facilitate a way for the RDCK and Robson REC to work together so that they can get the insurance they need, because they couldn't afford to do it on their own. So I really like the grassroots aspect of the project itself and the collaboration that happened between Robson REC and the RDCK. So that's a good news story.
That's great. We love those. Thank you, Director Hanegraaff. Director Lund.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to highlight a few capital projects that are happening in Spokane, our initiatives. One is our soccer field that's being implemented. It's in process. Second is our affordable housing project. Building permit has been submitted, I believe. So that project is on its way and moving along. I've reported out before. And third, the Village of Spokane purchased our waterfront a few years ago, and so we are gearing up for a 2-day community symposium to begin the visioning process for that site. It's close to 20 acres. It's right in the heart of the community, but I wanted to share with directors that the symposium is happening. We're also collecting and collating information online. We have a dedicated site, waterfrontcommons.ca. It's a splash page right now, but the full site should be coming online. We're collecting information on place-based economic development, information on case studies of other communities who have done similar projects, and so we're hoping it will be a resource for our community as we move along this process. And yeah, so we're sharing it out. If folks are able to come, please join us. Otherwise, check out the site, because we are collecting and documenting our process to share out. And last, I just wanted to acknowledge that today, May 15th, is Moose Hide Campaign Day. So the Moose Hide Campaign began as a BC-born Indigenous-led grassroots movement to engage men and boys in ending violence towards women and children. It's grown into a nationwide movement, and so just acknowledging today as the Moose Hide Campaign Day. That's it.
Thank you for that, Director Lund. Director Popoff, online, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. In RH, we're still recovering from the wildfires that we had. And we're looking at the economic recovery of the businesses. And we're in the process of establishing sort of a plan. If something like that does happen in the future, what do we do? Where do we go? Where's our food security, etc.? Then also we're looking at the residents that suffered losses and were displaced because of the fires. And so we had a society formed, the Slocan Valley Watershed and Forest Protection Society, and they're looking at getting certified to basically work with BC Wildfire Service to attack a fire that's outside our regional district fire service area. And in the northern portion of the valley, there is some movement in the Red Mountain area. They're looking at something similar to that. So we're still in the process of recovering, and a lot of my time is spent attending meetings and supporting the residents in their recovery. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Papa. We have Director Vandenberg.
Thank you, Chair. So finally we get an opportunity to talk about our backyards. That's awesome. One of the things I'd like to do is put out there an invitation to our sub-region is Crescent areas A, B, and C. And we have a group, Crescent Valley Services Committee, that meets first Thursday of every month. It's online. But we really get that chance to talk about what's relevant in our backyard, those initiatives, working through what's important to local community, that sort of thing. So always want to offer that up for people who are interested in that area to attend our meetings first Thursday of every month online. Secondly, we've kind of on the tail end of our Crescent Valley or our Crescent Airport master plan. And so that was a plan that the last time that we did it, I looked at the mayor, it's about 15 years ago.
1979.
1979, thank you. And it's refreshing to know that the little gem that we have in the valley, what can we do with it? What is the direction that we can go with it? What are the barriers around developing that airport for our local communities? So that master plan will now allow us to do further steps, further work, worth noting for sure. I sit as a participant with the Central Kootenai Invasive Species Group, CKIS. And one of the initiatives that we're excited about is developing of a white paper for consideration with Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM. And invasive species and that sort of thing is because we have a huge agricultural valley and participation. Invasive species are a rural problem. We want to be able to take something that is noteworthy to our BC caucus of FCM with the hope that the Canadian, it's a Canadian problem, and that they'll look at it and look at funding opportunities for those issues around invasive species, both rural and urban. So I think that that's a really interesting and exciting step forward. And Mr. Chair, if I can have one more. The International Selkirk Loop is a 280-mile long scenic highway that encompasses all of RDCK and two of our American states to the south of us. There's a huge opportunity there. I am starting to lead an initiative to revitalize our partnership with our American friends, because if you've driven the key highways, you've seen the Selkirk Loop. We do take advantage of our American friends and international friends from coming in. Agriculture and tourism are the biggest industries that affect our GDP in the Crescent sub-region, and certainly through the RDCK. So my step forward would be to ensure that we are maximizing that economic opportunity with the Selkirk Loop. And that's it for now.
Thank you very much, Director Vandenberg. Director Kiewit.
Thank you, through the chair. I'm going to start with something that's sort of Castle, sort of Area D. So about me. I've had the honor for the last 2 years to serve as a jury member for the BC Achievement Awards, and the award ceremony was last Wednesday in Victoria, and our Area D part comes in because Rick Valentine from Argenta received an award. So I was able to be there in person and offer congratulations on behalf of Dr. Watson. Next thing is thank you for Director Vandenberg for mentioning the invasive species issue. And you know, where many of us are going to be going to the FCM, and I am running for a board position, and I thank the board for their support on that. And quickly, it's May Day's weekend this weekend, so there's going to be lots of festivities in Castle, softball tournament all weekend, logger sports Saturday, Sunday, car show Sunday. Chainsaw Carver will be there all weekend, and he's donating his carving to the the new library building committee. And so very happy to hear about that. And then the parade on Monday. Lots of other stuff happening, vendors and whatnot, but welcome you all to come to Castle. Thanks.
Thank you, Director Hewitt. Director DeBoon.
We're in competition, aren't we? We have our Blossom Festival in Preston, same weekend, and so how people will travel to Lake Road and do both, really. So parade on Saturday, parade on Monday. A couple of other things, through our town council, we have now, our housing, corporation is in place. We have our directors in place. We will be, shortly talking to your construction manager. And I'm not sure how long it will take to put shovels to the ground, but we will be starting with about 110 space daycare, 42 units of achievable housing. So that's moving forward. And the other thing that some of us are involved in too is the Border Mayors Alliance, where we are talking about the impact of tariffs to the border towns and cities across Canada. And we had a meeting yesterday. We are now bringing in speakers, and we see the impact across the country. In Ontario, they estimate they'll be losing about 60,000 jobs because of manufacturing. But we also talked about the impact in the United States, and the thing that we don't think about, cities in the United States, San Antonio, number one, Detroit, number two, depend very heavily on their export business to Canada. San Antonio, the leading city for that, 41% of what they produce goes to Canada. So there is a huge impact to cities in the United States with tariffs. And so far, they haven't put the pressure on that they will be, because when tariffs came, people stocked up. They bought a lot of things and stocked up, anticipating they were going to cost money. When these things sort of run low, that's when the business really starts to get in trouble. So a lot of US cities, the whole Rust Belt, are very reliant on exports to Canada. And I think that was underestimated by the US government. And as that really starts to kick in, I think there will be a lot more pressure on the American government because of the impacts to their own people, not only the impact of producing it, but the raised costs through tariffs. It's going to be interesting as this unfolds, and I really do appreciate the information and updates we get through the Border Mayors Alliance. We meet every 2 weeks online, and it does give us a great deal of information to be able to just understand what's going on.
Thank you, Director DeBoon. And Director Lockwood.
Thank you. Very, very quickly. It's in all of our backyards is nonprofits and how much they benefit our communities. And I would challenge any one of you to think of losing a nonprofit in your community and how much it will affect your community and what happens in your community and stuff like that. I know that there's a lot of conversation there right in Salmo right now of some nonprofits because they're not feeling supported, and it, as much as we just went through volunteer week, I think it was May 4th to the 10th or something like that. I just want to bring that forefront into all of our minds, how important are nonprofits as we talk about the Ready grants, that it was probably close to 95% was going to nonprofits, to our communities. So I just wanted to bring that up. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Director Lockwood. And for the close, Director Page.
Yeah, go fast. So we're here from the public. So in Nelson, it's been a while since we had a bit of an update. Nelson did approve a 5-story building up at Selkirk on Bell Street to proceed to a BC housing funding call that we're anticipating in the coming weeks and months. There will be further discussion around the land use redevelopment beside the rec center and whether or not that goes ahead is still a discussion up for council in terms of adding affordable housing as a land use. We all went to AKBLG, so I just want to put a little bit of a reminder, even though, you know, I'm going out the door, is Parks is that the survey is up until the 27th. So it's really important we stand out of the crowd in terms of the province and how we advocate, because we do that prioritization, because we tell as members what we think is most important. It's really good direction with the board to push that work. So please fill that out. The screenshots from and the presentations are all up on the website, and so it should be easy to find. Please do it. We have adopted an interim urban forestry plan. This has been a number of years in the works, and we used some student time with UBC to get the first version of it. Identifying things like significant trees, what qualifies, how big, where, and what we're going to be replacing, and how we're going to achieve an overall increase in the same person over the long term. So, taking care of that forest is a good thing. Sometimes it means we take down big trees, but the goal is to, of course, replace the overall look of the street and make sure we're phasing things in, so we're never playing catch up on something like that. We've adopted our OCP, another multi-year process. It's finally coming to an end and a conclusion. Lots of public feedback, lots of opportunities for people to adjust where we're going in. And now, of course, I don't need to make you all familiar what an OCP is. And then it's going to be a busy weekend. So we've got May Days on Saturday. We had our launch of our Mother's Day Farmers Market last week. And that starts the official season of farmers markets in Nelson. So the first one at Cottonwood is this Saturday. And then you can go up to Caslo. And then you can get over to the Sculpture Walk grand opening in Castlegar later that evening. And then you'll recover a little bit on Sunday, hopefully, and get over to Blossom Festival. And I don't know if that's any loop. It's more of like...
Very clever.
That is a long and winding road, sir. It's just like the song.
Anyone who's had to take kids to any kind of sporting event has done that route.
This is the new Denver side loop as well.
Yes.
That's, thank you, Director Page. That's economic development. Okay, thank you for that, directors. It was nice to hear from everybody. It's been quite some time since we've had time to do director's report, so thank you. And just thank you, Director Page, for that reminder. AKBLG, please get, as you don't know, I'm the resolutions chair and the advocacy chair for AKBLG, so if you can get your priorities in, then we can take those to the TBCM of the province. So, okay, we're almost exactly on time. Okay, we have, we're at public time, and we're going to extend it beyond what we normally do. We'll give half an hour. So it's 11:32. We'll go to 12:02. And just quickly, if you weren't here the first thing this morning, I just want to say democracy is a participation sport. And that's a cliche that I say all the time, but I'm really glad that people are engaged and are here participating in the process. Sorry, that echoes weird. So thank you for being here. Please there's a lot of people, there's a lot of people online. So let's quickly just get to our questions. We'll do our best to answer them. I can't guarantee that you will like the answers that we give, but we will do our best to answer. It's been a very professional morning, so I would implore everybody, both in the room and online, to just please be professional and respectful, and we'll go from there. So we have a few online. We'll do 2 in the room and we'll go online, and then we'll go from there. So
It's strictly questions, or can statements be made, or just you guys, or?
it's ideally for a question. Procedure bylaws questions. You can preface it with a little bit, but again, there's a lot of people that want to speak. So just a quick preamble. We generally do 2 minutes or less. I don't want to start a timer, but I will if it gets really lengthy. So would you like to begin, sir?
Hi, my name is Brian McLaughlin. Good to see you all. And I really, really appreciate every one of you for participating in our community and the efforts and work you're doing. A lot of us are here, as you know, because the ostriches are 400 are being threatened and to be culled. And I was there a few weeks ago. Amazing birds. None of them look sick. Amazing. And they're 20 million years or more, 70 million years old. We're only 500,000. A species we have a lot to learn. They are not food birds. They are research birds. And I just want to say, like I put this little poster together. If your child was sick, if your child was sick in your family, would you kill the whole family? And this is kind of what we're doing as a government. And it's a bit strange that the Food Inspection Agency, this is not food. So why are we doing this? And this was tested, as they said, in December. This has almost been 6 months now. And just getting into my questions, I really appreciate all this. And number one is long-term monitoring to address the carcasses. This is a 1,400, 1,040 140,000 pounds of phosphorus that's gonna be buried. So there's a long-term monitoring bylaw section 2961 would address that issue, and it's important to understand that in your bylaw. The second question is bylaw 2961. It gives the RDCK power to refuse hazardous waste. You guys can do this, right? Is this reminiscent of the Hull mine situation? We don't want to go there again, right? We're spending a lot of money on that still. We don't want to do that, and this is the most important. This is the most important. And Stuart, thank you for facilitating this question. And this is a letter to the food inspection agencies, very simple, saying retest the birds. It's been 6 months. Retest the birds. I've been around these birds. There's people. The owner is living in the ostrich farm in the middle of the hatch right now, sleeping so they don't get cold. It's, as you know, it's a public outcry. And I think we could form a letter very simply. Can we retest the birds as a public outcry? As everyone will say here, this is a very, very dear concern why this is happening. And appreciate you all. Thank you for listening to me today.
Yeah, you have.
It's always PCR testing, sorry.
Just quickly answer the question. From a board perspective, I mean, we're all human beings here. We all live. I mean, Edgewood is just down the street from where I live. We all feel for the farmers and frankly for the animals that are involved here. I know personally that the newly elected MP, I believe, is doing some advocacy. I know some of our directors have been doing advocacy. So I'm going to turn it over to staff because they know better about the specifics about the hazardous waste management. Yeah, I'll just go in there. So Uli should speak to that. Or Uli, if you'd like to speak to that, Uli's our resource recovery manager.
Yeah, I can briefly speak to it. None of the decision making around the call is up to the regional district. We have been contacted for if required, disposal of the carcasses at our landfill, but the decision making and the evaluation of the risk level in regards to these animals is solely up to CFIA and their provincial support ministries, Ministry of Ag, and so on. But it is not our decision making to determine the risk levels from these birds and decision making around the call itself.
Thank you. Yeah. Ellen?
My name is Ellen Chambers, and I am really delighted that all of you have been given this problem. Because in the end, I really believe something amazing is going to happen for the people of the Kootenays and for Canada. Because there is a real jurisprudence issue here. I am a stakeholder in the Utashina. I use it. I'm a stakeholder. I'm one of the people that pay your taxes and everything. So the question becomes, do the stakeholders have any rights compared to an unelected federal agency, a bureaucracy? That is a big question that has to be answered in this country. We have to know, do the people have any rights? Because I don't want you to bury these animals I own that landfill. I want to know, do I have any rights? And there is some precedent now, maybe not in Canada, but in the United States, there's something called the Chevron deference, where now the judges have the right in that country to use common sense, to listen to more than just whatever these artificial rigid rules are on how law has to be held. We need that in Canada. And so that's why whatever your decision is, I really believe is going to have a huge impact on the province, on the people, especially the people that live in this province. So my question is, who does the RDCK work for? Do you work for higher agencies that tell you what to do, or do you work for me the stakeholders in making decisions. And so when you hire the lawyer, this is important for this lawyer. The Chevron decision is really important. It's spelled Chevron, deference. So when your lawyer starts looking at this situation, the whole world needs to know what's going on in the Kootenays right now. Do the people that you represent, are we the ones that are in charge? Or is it some unelected bunch of people that get to make decisions? So that's my question.
Very good. So philosophically, I'll just answer that we are elected. I mean, the people in this room are elected by the people in the region. So we are responsible to our electors, to our residents. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't get into the Chevron deference in the United States. Clearly, it's a different country. Maybe there is a way for Canada to learn from that ruling. I don't know. I can't speak to that. And all I can say from the point of view of where I'm sitting is there are different orders of government. There's the federal, the provincial, regional, municipal. We can do advocacy work with our federal MP, our members of parliament, and other people. We can put pressure on provincial representatives who can then also put pressure on federal representatives. But we have zero control at this level on a federal agency. So that may not be a satisfactory answer, but I know that, like I said earlier, people are trying to do the work and doing the advocacy work to trying to get things changed. But I've been in government 7 or 8 years now. Things don't move quickly, and that's just kind of the nature of the beast. But I don't know, from a legal perspective, you have anything to add? Or?
No, through the chair, nothing different than what I said during the issue earlier.
Okay, yeah. Okay, thanks for the question, Alan.
Okay,
we're going to do a couple online, then we'll come back into the room.
This is the order I saw them appear.
Okay. So we have Nicole Corrado. Would you like to unmute and ask a question, please?
Yes, thank you. I am speaking on behalf of the ostriches. I'm actually talking from Montreal, and it's 2:42 p.m. here. But yeah, I do not think that the dump should at all take the ostriches. For one thing, it would be completely disrespectful to those birds because they're not garbage, they're living birds. Also, the ostriches have immunity to avian flu, therefore they don't have avian flu, because if they had avian flu, they would not be sent to a dump because they would be cremated if they were actually sick. So the CFIA knows they're not sick. The other thing is, though, however, if they were sent to the dump, it would create pollution because it would produce a lot of methane. It would also attract a lot of animals like bears and other animals to the area. Plus, it would grow a lot of bacteria and create a lot of problems and produce a lot of gases. So it would be a major pollution problem. It would be hazardous waste, even though they're not sick. They're not going to make anyone sick now. But if the birds are killed, and sent to a dump, that will make everybody sick. And so, but I think even for the sake of the birds, I think as an ethical standpoint, that landfill needs to say, no, we're not going to take 400 bird carcasses and put them in the dump. They're not garbage, they're living beings. And even when they're dead, their remains should be treated with more respect. I think that you can just say from an ethical standpoint, even, you're not going to take them. And I fully support that ostrich farm. They're not meat birds, but the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, unfortunately, they handle everything despite their name. If you are transporting your pet, your cat, your dog, whoever, from Canada into the US or into any other country or vice versa, it goes through the community, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency oversees.
Nicole, do you have a question? We just have a lot of people.
My question is, can the landfill say no, and can you use provincial legislation to refuse to take 400 carcasses to the dump? And is there a way that if you do refuse to take the carcasses, could this delay or even hold off the call?
My understanding is that and I think our CAO spoke to this earlier from a legal opinion he received yesterday, that we could indeed say no, but that the province could immediately turn around and order us to take them. We would likely have little legal standing to maintain that no, because we are mandated to take. That's part of our job is waste management. Did I get that? Yeah.
Community stated by saying no. So
whether it does. So we have a list of people here. So okay, thank you for the question, Nicole. We have a Kevin Shaw online. Please go ahead and unmute.
Hello, my name is Kevin Shaw. I live in Winlaw and have been following this issue with the ostriches somewhat. And I realize you guys don't have a say in whether they get culled or not. And I think it's obvious to anyone with common sense that these birds are not sick. But the CFIA is saying that they have bird flu. They tested positive, or 2 dead birds tested positive 5 or 6 months ago. Therefore, they have a policy that says the whole herd has to be wiped out. And they're maintaining by that policy. The federal judge just the other day, I think, basically maintained that, saying, oh, they followed all their procedures or whatever. As you can see, there is a large public interest in this issue. This is getting international attention. I think if you are serving your communities, I think it behooves you to do whatever is in your power to oppose this. If we're playing the game as per CFIA's, what they are saying, that these birds are a biological hazard, that people or other birds cannot come in contact with this flock, that they must be culled and disposed of, then if we're going to play that game, then this is a hazardous biological material. And I think that you can oppose the burying of these birds in the Udashenya landfill on these grounds, that there must be, this is a unique situation. I believe it's like over.
Kevin, do you have a question to ask? We're getting close to 2 minutes here.
So I believe that you can oppose this on those grounds. Has there been because this is a unique situation, has there been a full environmental assessment of the potential hazards of burying this specific type of biological material in a RDCK landfill? Has there been a full environmental assessment of this particular type of biological hazard? Has an environmental assessment of this type been performed before in a RDCK landfill?
Okay, thank you for the question, Kevin. Uli, can I ask you to answer that? I mean, I could try, but he's the expert.
Absolutely. Through the chair. So this is not the first time we have to dispose animals that had to be culled in regards to avian flu. We had about, I want to say maybe 8 months ago or so, we had a similar situation, not ostriches, of course, but I believe it was turkeys at the time, where we had to be part of the disposal and management of the infectious disease chain as we were asked by CFIA at the time. We are playing a role in managing these outbreaks, and like I said, have at the time accepted materials. We do not require an environmental assessment. That is no requirement for landfills. We are accepting ongoingly organic material in a landfill, so it poses no additional threat from the perspective of accepting additional organic materials. The infectious piece is handled through a rigorous requirement for the transport and acceptance of these materials, and at disposal an immediate covering of the materials so that the risk of any other birds or vectors accessing that material is eliminated. So that's the perspective from a landfill technical aspect. We do not require an environmental assessment. The risks from accepting organics known and is there all the time. We are accepting much larger volumes of organic materials ongoingly in that landfill, and so there's no added risk from that perspective.
Thank you for that, Owen.
Do you mind speaking to the point of view out because you have enough work to put more.
Okay, we have a lot of people on the speakers list here, so we're going to get to as many people as we can. So please keep your comments. Sorry, I'll speak louder. Please try to keep your comments brief because we have a lot of people online that want to speak as well. If we get to a certain point, we'll just ask you to put your comments in writing and send them to the chair and to the CAO, and we can deal with them. Please go ahead.
Okay, my name's Shirley and I live in the Kootenays. Chair, you said to Brian as an answer that we all feel about this. Yes, but you guys are the ones with the power to do something about it. And we're counting on you. We elected you, we pay your salaries, we count on you to stand up for this. As a point of interest, last time I looked, there was 230 people on the Zoom watching. This is from across Canada and international. I recognize some international names on there. And we've only known about this for less than 48 hours. So there is a worldwide attention on the RDCK right now. As a taxpayer, I fear the Ushania landfill's disposal of 140,000 pounds of ostrich carcasses, which is a much higher number of carcasses than Uli Wolf just quoted, will repeat HB Mine's financial disaster. The operational certificate does not address long-term monitoring costs for contamination. Bylaw number 2961 lets RDCK say no. So my question, what is the board's plan to cover ongoing monitoring costs if disposal causes contamination? And will you refuse this disposal to protect, in order to protect taxpayers from another multi-million-dollar burden? And can you just make a motion to retest those birds?
Okay, so there's a few questions there. I'll work backwards. I mean, we could make any motion that we want within the law, but we don't have, like I said earlier, we don't have power over the CFIA. Well, not legally. We can say whatever we want. They don't have to listen to us. And in terms of the other questions, like a mitigation plan.
Plan to cover the coolest of
Willie, can you answer the question about the cost of potential costs of ongoing contamination?
As I have said before, and I'm not sure where the resident feels I quoted the wrong number. The number that we were informed about is between 50 and 75 tons, which is the number we received, and I believe that was as well from many people opposed to the disposal quoted in a similar way. 64 tons, I believe, is the number that I received from people that are familiar with the farm. So that's the amount we receive if we accept these materials at the landfill. The landfill receives every day on average about 70 tons of material, of which between 20 and 65% is organic material. So the 64 tons that we receive is roughly the equivalent of 2 days worth of organics that are being received at the landfill. this is not a significant addition to the organic loading of that landfill, and therefore no added risk from that perspective.
Thank you for that, Uli. We're still in. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Michel Saint-Germain. I live on Crescent Road, and I have a question about the motion that was adopted today, and it is the motion that changes the bylaw 3002. I'd like you to confirm the proper interpretation of the wording used in the motion, and I'll quote the wording. The wording is consideration for adoption to be withheld until certain conditions are met. To me, that wording suggests that the adoption will come later on. Otherwise, the motion would have said the bylaw changes are adopted. So I'd like you to confirm this interpretation. And really, the sense of my question is whether or not the community will be consulted in connection with the adoption of the conditions stated in the motion. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you for the question. I think you're correct that the adoption is those motions aren't passed until those conditions are met. But I'll ask staff about the
Through the chair, the Ministry of Transportation and Transit needs to sign off on the access requirements for the property, and then once that's signed off, and then once the covenant is put in place, the bylaw would come back for adoption. But the community input process with the close of the last public hearing is closed.
So just to be clear, there will be another motion coming up adopting the bylaw changes?
That's correct.
Thank you.
If I could, through the chair, at that point, the board is no longer discussing the matter. There's no discussion allowed on the adoption of bylaws. Discussion ends at third reading.
Right now, I don't understand. If there will be another motion adopting it, why isn't there another discussion that the board?
Through the chair, because the conditions that are within that motion are all that needs to be met. So essentially, at this point, it is ticking boxes to make sure that that's done by the Ministry of Transportation and Transit, and then that will come back to the board, and it's essentially just confirming that that's done.
Okay. Now, people,
It's also on the same motion.
Okay, we're just going to go online. We're just going to go back and forth with two. So we'll quickly do two online. We'll come back to the room. Sarah Gal. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Sarah, would you like to unmute? Okay, we're gonna, just because we have a long list, I'm gonna move on to the next. We have Rose from Area D.
Can you hear me?
Oh, Sarah, yes, thank you.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
It has been disturbing to hear the concerns of physical health and environmental concerns have been dismissed by the committee, but I think no one in the room can deny the mental health damage and lack of trust that this has caused your constituents. Your residents are traumatized. The powerlessness and abuse of power of a corrupt federal government and judicial system, what they have done has shocked the community and the world, frankly. Sadly, children are going to be the biggest victims. Kids love animals, extremely vulnerable. They have suffered terribly over the last 5 years with fires, with the debacle of COVID. No one is mentioning the mental stress this is causing and how much a cynical public will not be an ally in public health or anything else going forward if this kind of behavior continues or is not seen as at least being addressed. So my question is, I wonder why you at least wouldn't attempt to obstruct CEFA. I may need this clarified, but under British Columbia's community charter, we know municipalities are empowered to regulate nuisances. Section 8.3 allows municipalities to regulate, prohibit, and impose requirements in relation to nuisances, disturbance, or objectionable situations. And if this isn't objectionable, I don't know what is. Section 64 provides authority to address specific nuisance-related matters like odors, environmental emissions, and unsightly, unsanitary conditions, which I think would certainly include 140,000 pounds of rotting flesh. So I know that you may, I know that you can't stop the call. I understand you're absolutely not able to do anything with that, but at least you could obstruct them in some way in the context of framing a nuisance in terms of a massive call. Like for instance, I'm sorry, the fellow, I don't know his name, but he claimed that pests would not be a problem. I don't agree there at all. I think blowflies and rodents certainly cannot be stopped, both of which are transmission vectors for avian. We know that these animals don't have avian, but we're going to pretend that they do, apparently. So you could at least try to tell them, try to demand how they're going to control blowflies and rats and mice. And this can certainly not be controlled with massive aerosol and ground poisoning. That's not an alternative. You could also tell them to manage odor and control. Yeah.
Sarah, sorry to interrupt you. Can I ask you that, just because we're at 2 minutes, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Please.
So where do you stand with the charter?
Sorry, you broke up there. Where do we stand with the what?
Under the community charter. You could at least stand up and frame this in the context of a nuisance.
Okay, thanks for the question. Is that true?
Thank you.
Regarding our own land. Yeah, through the chair, I don't understand the question from the standpoint of a nuisance, because if it's a nuisance with respect to the operation of our own landfill, a nuisance bylaw, even if we had one in place, would not apply to that because of the operating certificate and the need to do certain things on that property. Okay.
I'm sorry, may I send you information I have on this?
Yeah, you're welcome to send us any information you have.
And okay, so I'll send it.
Okay, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
And okay, Rose. We're going to do a few more. Rose from Area D online. Are you still with us? Okay, I'm going to move on to, we have a Christine online with your hand up.
Hi, my name is Christine Massey. According to news reports, 8.7 million birds have already been culled in British Columbia since 2022 as a result of the avian influenza virus narrative. And yet nobody has a shred of scientific evidence showing that this alleged virus even exists, or contagion of any symptoms, or any validated tests. And of course, you have to show that a virus exists before you can have a validated test. During your break, I sent you my notarized affidavit regarding the fraud and delusion of virology, and the hundreds of Freedom of Information responses that I have collected from 225 different institutions, 53 of them Canadian, from 40 different countries, regarding the alleged COVID-19 virus, SARS-CoV-2. No one has a shred of evidence to show that it even exists, let alone does anything to anyone. No validated tests. And I also sent you Freedom of Information responses regarding the alleged avian influenza virus. And those are from the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, Public Health Agency of Canada, who have admitted they have no scientific evidence of any alleged virus in people ever. Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. These institutions have admitted they have no evidence, no scientific evidence of a virus, can't even find the alleged viral genome. Anybody in the world, they have no record of anyone in the world ever doing this. And they cannot show that there's contagion again of any symptoms. I gave you responses from the CDC, the FDA, the US Department of Agriculture, the UK Animal Health and Plant and Health Agency, Japan's National Institute of Infectious Diseases, the European Centre for Disease Prevention and Control, Scottish Government, Finland's National Institute of Health and Welfare, and many municipal institutions. So my questions are, do you have scientific evidence of the alleged virus, of contagion, and validated tests? And also, and if so, which studies are you relying on? And number two, if you have agreed to accept carcasses of animals culled under the premise that they're infected with a virus, have you considered whether that would make you a party to fraud, theft and destruction of private property, animal cruelty, and potentially lead to criminal charges and other serious and costly consequences. Thank you.
Okay, so there's a couple questions there. I think safely say that the regional district does not have tests for avian flu. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn there. The questions were, okay, I will speak very loudly.
Thank you.
So no, we do not have tests, as far as I understand, for avian flu. The other question, if I recall correctly, is are we concerned about criminal charges? I don't believe that we are, but I don't want to speak. I'm just speaking for myself. I can't speak for everybody. And I'm sorry, you had one more question that I forget.
I was asking if there is no scientific evidence, or whether there is or isn't, would you be a party to fraud, theft and destruction of private property, and animal cruelty?
I am, that would probably have to be tested in court. I am not a lawyer, so I can't speak to that, and I don't think any of us are. So thank you for the questions. We're past time. I'm gonna do a couple more in the room. We'll do a couple more online, and then if you have more questions to ask, please put them in writing. Please, go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to return to the afternoon.
Afternoon, yes.
Mr. Chair. I'd like to return our attention to the bylaw amendment 3003, which was approved earlier today.
May I just quickly ask your name?
Mariette Saint-Germain.
Thank you.
Thank you, sorry. In this report, there's a condition that there be an S219 covenant. I do not think the S219 covenant is going to address this concern, and I would like to ask the board to direct the RDCK to look into this concern. The engineer's report has stated there is a significant health risk to the residents who take their water from the highly vulnerable aquifer number 994. In order for us, if this project does get final approval, to have assurances that our drinking water is safe, we will have to do regular testing. There are 23 landowners down gradient. Each one of us will have to do the test baseline and then multiple times in future years at a cost of each test of over $1,000. Can the RDCK direct Spearhead to work with us and perhaps to fund the testing of our wells, since this risk has been recognized by a recognized hydrogeologist?
Thank you for the question. That's a technical one, so I'm going to lean on our staff for that.
Thank you. So I'm assuming you are a resident of the Otashania area.
This isn't about that. We're talking about the Spearhead.
Sorry?
The question was about area F and Spearhead, the Spearhead development.
To be Sankita.
Yeah,
Do I need to repeat the question?
No.
So through the chair, I think that the first thing to do, because the board has to make a decision on the matter, might be to try to contact Spearhead to see about getting some support in that matter if you're concerned about it. If you need your local elected officials' support on that, I'd reach out to him.
And if they're unwilling to help fund the significant burden on all the down gradient residents, can we return to the board and ask them to direct Spearhead to assist us? Because this is a very heavy burden on us.
Through the chair, you could go through your area director and ask that question for sure. Definitely.
Yes, sir.
This is the owner of the Officer Department 80. I'm Daniel Neo, local resident, 21 years. I just have some very direct questions. I'll get right to it.
Sure, thank you.
One, we did kind of like all for, all against kind of thing. I'm just curious if we get a show of hands of who opposes the culling of the birds on the RDCK.
Well,
the members though that we've elected, that's our elected members. I'm just curious if we get a show of hands of who opposes the cull. For it.
I'd say that that's an inappropriate question, only because we don't have this, I mean, we don't have the reports in front of us. Personally, none of us want to see this happen I would say. I think it's safe to say that.
And I'll say, I wasn't trying to call anyone out or anything like that, it's just to get an idea of where people are standing and what perceptions of this been. Most directly, I guess what I'm asking point blank is there's kind of, well, you could say something, we could do this. Will you, as our elected representatives, do everything within your power to represent the community? Like, there's been not just a local, but national and international outcry. I know there's a process that you guys need to follow. I respect that. I understand there's a political process, a bureaucratic process, all of that stuff, but just the blatant disregard for the sacred aspect of life at play here and the precedent that it sets. We're asking you, with everything that we are, with everything that we have, will you use the power that you have, even if you thought that for sure the answer was no? Just do everything you can to represent our concern and to try to put an end to this, to do everything that you can, whether it's through the landfill, requesting another test, whatever you have within your means, will you represent us in that way?
Good question. And we kind of talked about this, or I said something to this earlier. As a person, nobody like it. This is horrifying. However, we have our role here is to do our business, and our business is waste management. That's what we're legislated to do by the province. If we don't want to do this job, then we should probably quit and become. If I may finish, please. Sorry. Is to do our job. If we don't want to do that job, we should probably quit and do something else. Maybe on the other side of the table. Our CAO reached out to our legal counsel and said that there's no point in saying no, because they'll just say do it, because we're creatures of the province. We're legislated by provincial legislation.
You say there was legal though. They say you might not win, but you could at least go to legal with the lawyers. Was that not said by the gentleman?
Unless I'm mistaken, legal counsel said we can make whatever motion we want. We can say no, but they can immediately turn around and say that we have to do it.
It's worth a shot.
Okay, thank you, if I may. But that may or may not stop the culling. Like, to my mind, there's two separate issues here. There's a federal agency that's enacting something that is killing these animals for whatever reasons they have. That's not, and the reason I said it was inappropriate for us to put up our hands or not is because we haven't debated that here. We haven't seen the pros and cons of that. So it's not appropriate for us to make a determination on it. Plus, we're also not virologists. We're not veterinarians. We don't have that expertise. Nor is there that on our staff. So to answer your question, there's nothing that we can do beyond advocacy, because it's not. And I don't want to be that person to say it's not our problem, but it's outside of our power. And I know that might not be the answer you want to hear. I wish there was something I could do, but we're stuck with what we have. And we have to work within the bounds of this is we're a legislative body. So we have to respect the law. We're a country of laws. It went through all the courts.
Thank you. I do have a question.
Okay, owner of the farm.
Just until I woke up. And I had meetings all morning, and we just said we're going because I knew I needed to stand here in front of all of you from our farm today. And I do have a question. Chair, will you publicly retract the false claim that UOF, Universal Ostrich Farms, lost 2 court cases and correct the record at this board? Because the record matters, and moving forward with disposal based on misinformation without a legal mandate is not just reckless, it makes this board liable for voluntary participation. I urge you all to take a step back, verify the facts, and act in truth. Oh, sorry, it's been a journey. I'm here today to correct a serious falsehood that was entered into the public record of this board. It was stated that Universal Ostrich Farm has lost 2 court cases. That is not true. Let me absolutely be clear. Universal Ostrich Farm has not lost any legal case. What they did do, and what we did do, was file for and win a judicial review.
granted by Justice Batista. That review was heard on April 15th and 16th in Vancouver, and the decision was released this week by federal court by Justice Zinn. But here's the part that matters to you. In paragraphs 7 and 8 of that ruling, Justice Zinn states that the court can only rule on decisions made by the CFIA before January 10th, 2025. The court was legally barred from considering any evidence after that date. That means the current health of our animals, the current health of our 400 healthy animals. Any new test results, any recovery or scientific data, none of it could be considered. This ruling does not validate CFIA's current actions, only that what they did at that time was, in the court's view, reasonable based on what they knew then. So with respect, I ask you to please consider the now, because we are in a fight for these animals that hold way more value alive than they do dead. By accepting their dead carcasses into this landfill, you can set a precedence. Because we have a recovered flock, we can set a precedence with all of your power and all of your seats and everything that we stand for here today, and all the voice from across our country and the global attention that this is getting. We can set a precedence. Our animals are happy, they're healthy, they're laying eggs, they're beautiful, and we are being restricted the chance from retesting our animals to prove to you as the public that they are recovered. We are being threatened 6 months in jail and $250,000 fine to bring you that evidence. So where do we stop this? We stop it at Universal Ostrich Farms. Please say no.
Say no to dumping. Let the community, the residents, the taxpayers decide whether you guys are gonna be a liability and pay fines, because Mr. Papa was contacted a couple of days ago, and his concern was a legal liability to our residents and constituents in fighting and saying no. Now let's do a referendum vote with the community, and let's ask the people of this area, do we stand behind this family, this farm, and pay the legal fees if that's what is going to happen?
Okay,
we
so
need to, as Canadians and Kootenai people,
yeah,
show the world that we are better than the rest.
Amen.
And stand full.
so
Shame.
okay, may I have your name, please?
My name is Kelly Malakoff.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So this is an extraordinary day. I can, that's obvious. I don't know, maybe you weren't in the room earlier a few minutes ago. Sorry, my tie's too tight. Our empathy is with you. Trust me. We know. I live in the cusp. I'm just down the street from you. A lot of the people that are at your farm right now are people that I know. I think just to your. So I've got two things that I want to respond with. One is if there are things that we need to correct, can you just write that down for us so we can actually correct it? Because I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is if we were to make any decisions, it's not on. So we do have to follow process, as you said. If there were decisions that could be made, they have to be duly put on an agenda. They have to be we can't. We're not. And trust me, I get the emotionality of the situation for everybody. There's a comment online about mental health impacts of all this. Our role is to make calm, dispassionate decisions. based on all the information that we have.
Sure.
So if anything were to happen, it wouldn't be happening right now. We would have to talk about it. We had a joint resource recovery committee yesterday, a West Resource Recovery, which is waste management, Monday and yesterday this week, where I believe I wasn't there, but I believe it was discussed. So anyway, I could go on, but let me just say that to answer your question, if there were a decision that would stop the material from going to the landfill, it wouldn't be right now. So yes. I'm sorry, that's the best I can give you for right now. And I can't speak for the board. I'm just the conduit through which.
And for you all to take, because these are healthy animals, we're being denied the right to retest. And we just, all of us are sitting here as human beings, as much as we are sitting in these chairs here today. We have the powers that we do and the jobs that you say that you're trying to protect, but we all have a purpose in this world. And if we all stand together, we can create the most beautiful change. And this is the opportune time to say no. And it's just, and I know that you're saying, it's not as easy as that, but sometimes maybe we challenge that. Maybe if enough people just said no, we set the precedence of this landfill, and you make Castlegar and Nelson proud, you make our Kootenai boundaries, and you make this whole area so proud. Maybe, all the other landfills would just say no too, and we would actually get the scientific data that is being restricted, and it's killing off our farmers. We're losing our farmers. We're getting pulled, and then repopulation was still migratory birds. We're not doing anything about that. Migratory, as long as there's migratory birds, we're going to have avian influenza. So what do? How many animals are you willing to accept in your landfill that are not needlessly being killed and unnecessarily need to be that pose more risk? There needs to be a restructure on so many levels, and that's what we were doing in legislature. We're trying to make the voice heard and create the change that needs to happen so that you have food security, and your children's children will have food security, and our farmers, who are our heroes, they supply us with nutritional food on our plate every day, and the security of that for tomorrow. Let's not villainize them. Let's not make them. Let's keep them the heroes that they are. Let's give them the respect as the experts that we are in our industries. We're experts in ostrich. Let's just make some changes, but on every level. And it can start here, and it can start in legislature, it can start anywhere, but these discussions just have to keep going. And we need to create the change. Public opinion matters, and I think we just have the opportunity here, humans, to do the right thing. Yeah.
So I'll just say, we have heard you, trust me.
Thank you.
We have each received, 600 emails in the past, in the last day even, let alone all the stuff before.
Yeah.
We have heard you, and we'll take that away.
I agree.
And our hearts, trust me, as people, a human being to another human being, our hearts are with you. And we wish you the best. Well, regardless of what happens, we wish you the best of luck. So I'm gonna adjourn the meeting for lunch.
I just have a question. I'm sorry. I just have a question.
Sorry.
Okay.
I muted right now, but.
Just two things real quick.
Sure.
One, because you guys are so much more aware of just the processes that need to be followed, as citizens, as the public, as the community, what is our most direct and impactful path to making change in a situation like this? That's question number one. And then question number two is, still didn't get a straight answer. Will you represent us in this matter? And I just want to say, I know it's like, it's for all, it's complicated as this. If you just take a look at what's actually happening, it's actually quite simple. You just see the lack of logic and process, lack of logic and empathy and process of it. Okay, this deserves actually more attention. So will you represent us?
Okay.
Yeah.
Two quick questions. The answer, and maybe if anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, but your most direct thing to do, your member of parliament, because this is federal. Okay. Get that person, get in front of that person. Okay, who is it?
It's Scott Anderson. If I could speak for
Scott Anderson. And let me just okay.
So Scott Anderson was at the farm yesterday and is fully representing us.
Okay,
and
excellent.
He's supporting.
So, and then to just quickly to your second point, if we'll represent you, again, because of the body that we are, we can't just say yes. We have to make deliberate decisions. And it's not, I know that it seems like a simple, straightforward answer, but we have to look at all the sides and say, what do we actually want to do? So without a considered approach, and maybe we would all say yes, I don't know. But that's just not the way we function. Is we have to have a measured approach to what we're doing. So that's not the thing.
Tell them to go to hell too.
All right.
In all fairness, thank you, Chair, very much for hearing us. I just want to say, people to people, do not underestimate your power as a human being. I know that it's a tricky situation, keeping your job, you've got mouths to feed, all that kind of stuff. You want to stay in good standing. I get all of that. But just remember, you're representing us. You can pass the buck to us. We'll back you up. It doesn't need to be like, hey, you're just representing us, the entire community. So don't underestimate your power. And just as far as the record is concerned, your children, your grandchildren, just say, hey, I at least said my piece. I at the very least did what was within my power to take a stand against this.
Be the heroes.
And you at least say no to the landfill.
At the very least.
Okay, so all right, we could go all day about this. I said we're gonna adjourn for now. If we are, I'm sorry, we've turned a lot of other people away, so we're just gonna call it. You're welcome to speak to us offline to send things in writing. Yes, I understand that.
This isn't just.
I understand that. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna adjourn.
This kills natural herd community,
So-
community for people and animals and everything. You have to know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will be back at 1:30 for lunch. Does that work for everyone?
Yeah.
Sure.
Recording stopped.